Welcome, everyone, to episode 12 of the Endless Blading Show. Tonight, we have a really great show planned. This is the wheel show, so we're going to get super nerdy about everything you wanted to know about wheels. So we have some special guests with us tonight. I'd like to welcome my friends, Billy Arlew and David from Dee's Skates. How you doing, guys?
Hey, doing good.
Great. Doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah,
So
super excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Andrew couldn't join us tonight. He had something come up, but three of us are going to hold down the fort, I think. I think we have we're doing the mega stream tonight, right? So we're streaming on both YouTube, the Endless Blading YouTube, Endless Blading Instagram. What's up, Instagram people? And Billy and David are both streaming to their channels. Maybe you guys can each tell us what your channel is so people can go like and follow those on YouTube.
You first, Billy.
Sure. Yeah, mine's easy. I'm just Billy Arlew on YouTube and at Billy Arlew on Instagram. I post a lot of practice videos and fun group session videos and stuff like that where we're all out skating on my YouTube. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Sweet. My mom is joining us tonight. Hi, Mom.
Awesome. Hi,
she's
Brad's
watching
mom.
Instagram, apparently.
Hi.
David,
Mom,
what's
you're
your
gonna learn
YouTube?
so much about wheels.
And I'm David. My YouTube is Dee's Skates down in the bottom next to me. And you can find me on Dee's_skates on Instagram. And I make fun, like general content tutorials, skating history videos, etc., etc.
Sweet. So to kick this off, I wanted to set some ground rules. So tonight we're going to be talking about mostly big wheels. And I'm going to define that as anything over 72 millimeters. Wheels that one would use for recreational skating, urban skating, wizard skating, anything, distance, downhill, flow skating, slalom skating. Anything that's not aggressive. Sorry, aggressive guys.
Really edgy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Ha. So
we'll circle back to that joke.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that joke.
Okay.
We're actually going to announce some new products tonight. So anybody that's joining us to find out about those, in a few minutes, we'll unveil what those are. So what do you think, guys? Let's maybe we should kind of outline a couple key specs that every wheel has. We've got first the diameter, which is, why am I showing this wheel? I should really be showing this wheel. The diameter, which is how big it is, right? And it's usually measured in millimeters. Then we have the profile, which is the shape of the wheel as it contacts the ground. We've got bullet profile wheels, round profile, full radius. Those are the common ones, with bullet and round being the most common. And then the final parameter we have usually is durometer or hardness, which is measured with a device called a durometer. So
one more parameter.
Oh, one more parameter. Go for
the
it.
ratio of the urethane to the core.
Yes.
Good one.
We will talk about that, even though it's not something that anybody really advertises or specifies for the consumer.
I have the first wheel that I've ever seen where it is specified, but we can talk about that later. So
yes.
Interesting.
Well, not the first wheel, but it's the one that I've seen. That's the
one that I've thought of too. Yeah.
Anyway,
let's see.
Yeah.
What else? So I've got this giant bin sitting right next to me of a bunch of wheels. I went into my collection of wheels that I've had. The oldest wheel we're going to talk about, guys, I've had since I think 1999 or 2000. So we're going to break out some.
It's
still
intact.
It's still all in one piece. I've got two wheels that date before probably 2005.
Wow.
So we'll talk about those. We're going to talk about single pour wheels and dual pour wheels. We'll get into what that means. But first, let's say hi to some of the people here. Let's see. We've got Dandelions in the house. What's up, Dan?
You
We've
know,
got Drew from City Blades.
Drew, what's
Yeah,
up, dude?
TS, who always makes it to see all of our shows. Thanks for watching.
Nice.
Caleb's here. Caleb's shouting out to my mom. So yeah, if you guys have questions as we're discussing this stuff, feel free to leave them in the comments. We're going to try and keep up with the questions and maybe work them into the conversation where appropriate. Looks like there's a bunch of people on Instagram. Hello, everyone. Let's jump into it. Let's start. What do you say? Should we announce these new products and let this kick off the conversation here?
I think it makes sense. There's already been some semi-educated guesses. Not that the people are semi-educated, but the guesses are semi-educated.
Yeah.
About what maybe the announcement is.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long you want to keep them.
Well, what you could
waiting.
do also is promise to announce within so much time and keep everybody here.
No, I think people are going to stay for the super technical discussion here.
Right
For like round 1 and round 2 and round
Yeah.
3 of the discussion, maybe.
So we've been working on these for a while, and we're proud to finally announce our new round profile wheels in both 76, and this is the 76, and 84 millimeter. We've got, each one comes in white. So here's the 84 in white, 84 in, or 76 in white. And then we've got the black in 84 and 76. And these are, see if we can see this good. These are a true round profile. So we had these profile molds designed from scratch. These, as far as I know, these are the first true round, made in the USA, high performance wheels for big wheel urban skating. You know, a bunch of the Asian wheels come in round profile, like the Luminous and the Street Invaders, which we'll get into. Undercover has made their full profile, but it's not really round. So as far as I know, this is now the best round profile wheel on the market in 76 and 84 millimeters, in my opinion. So with that, let's jump into it. Oh, and by the way, those are available on the store right now. You know, dealers, you can buy them. You know, end users, they're available to order from endlessblading.com. So let's jump into this. I'm just gonna, I think we'll start down. We'll start with the OG, with the wheel we have to discuss. I think this is a good one to kick the conversation off.
I was gonna say, let me guess.
Rollerblade Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
Yeah, and I've got this in a couple. Here's an older colorway. I've got these in 80s, in black. These came on some twisters.
I got an 84.
Yeah,
A well-loved 84.
I got this colorway, these 110s. I've
I
got
got a
this.
125 here.
Yeah, here's a 125. So, guys, what are your thoughts on a Hydrogen? So, obviously, these come in a number of sizes. I think they now come in 76 up to 125, and they're all 85A. So, let's kick it off, Billy.
Well, I mean, I think it's the standard. They're all bullet profile, first of all, right?
Yep.
They don't make a different type of profile of it. And to me, it's very similar to most of the Endless brand wheels, which I also like. So for me, it's a very well-balanced wheel. It doesn't chunk. It has a predictableness to it and stiffness that I like. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, like the Toyota of wheels. Like it's just going to keep going and going. And it's like, maybe the right word is dependable that I would use. What about you, David? Where do you kind of place it in your echelon of wheels? I don't know.
I completely agree with all of that. I put it at the top, and I have these Hydrogen SEs, which
Those are not real Hydrogens.
No, are they not?
No.
Let's let's
Let-
out
We have
those.
to
I have
debug.
Yeah,
those.
let's talk. Let's talk about it because I have hydrogens in like 100 or something, but I
Okay.
Are
didn't
they
notice the
less
difference.
expensive? The
What
SEs?
what do you notice is missing from the SE?
Only,
Oh,
SE only
like
has one hole.
so so it's just right. Okay,
Oh,
okay, I got you. I got you.
So
Is that
these
what?
wheels are not made in the USA. It's not the same urethane as this that everyone
Oh
loves.
wow, wow!
This
These
is
are still
an
really
Asian.
good wheels.
This is an Asian made wheel. I don't know where which factory it comes from, but it is not the same.
this one
Wow.
is this. It says it very small, but it does say made in the USA. The hydrogen
Oh, I got the
Spectre.
gray
This is
version of
very-
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, which I
So
don't know what the Spectre means. It's still a hydrogen.
It's a
Is it just that
non-white.
it's an 80?
They branded all the ones that weren't white Spectre.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's got a cool graphic on it, so that makes me
Yeah.
happy. But yeah,
So
that's
anyway,
interesting, the different cores that they use. But yeah, so you have a somewhat hydrogen.
well,
hydrogen in name
I was
only.
gonna talk about those because they're the ones that I skate the most. But I have larger hydrogens that are like 110. I haven't used them in a long time. But I mean, honestly, I have a kind of like you, Brad, like a box full of wheels. If I had to, never buy wheels again, I'd probably be fine. But the hydrogens are, I would say they are similar to Undercover's urethane as far as the rebound goes.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes hydrogens great is they're probably one of the most bang for your buck wheels you can buy. Like they're very affordably priced. Like I think you can get a set of 90 millimeter 8-pack like $75.
Whoa,
I think
wow.
I think
Under
that's what it is.
$10
Or
a wheel,
maybe
basically.
don't quote me out. Maybe we can
Yeah,
look it
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Maybe it's an 80 millimeter 8-pack. I can't remember, but yeah, they wear well. They roll fast. They slide pretty decently. They just I feel like this should be the worst wheel anyone ever skates. I feel like
And it should just get better from there.
yeah, no, because it's
Yeah.
so affordably priced and it performs really decently. Like anything else is you're just I don't know, you're just kind of hindering your skating experience. Like I feel like so much of the skating experience comes down to the quality of the wheel. And I understand that people that live outside of the US, the price of hydrogens is actually pretty expensive from what I've been told. So it may be difficult outside of the US, but if you're located in the US, like, and you need wheels, this should be the first thing that anyone thinks of. Like, yeah.
If I could restate your, this should be the worst wheel you skate.
Yeah.
There are worse wheels for as much or if not more money. And
Yes.
so why not get the hydrogen
Exactly.
instead of someone else trying to do something a little bit in a way that is less, enriching of an experience, I guess. Yeah,
Right.
I would agree. I think it's really like the industry standard, I guess. It was a good wheel to start with.
So I've noticed something, and maybe you guys can comment on whether you've noticed the same thing. I've noticed with hydrogens that some sizes I prefer more than others. And the reason I think that is, like, the performance feels different. Like sometimes one size, I don't know, feels a little too harsh of a ride, and another size maybe slides really well. And I think it comes down to the core like design and stiffness and the size of the core relative to the urethane. So like Rollerblade likes to use this kind of spoked core on I believe they use it on 84, 90, and 100, and one. Do I have a one? Yeah, in 110, because this is 110, this is 100.
Yeah,
However,
125 has the spokes.
yeah,
And
and
the
the one,
84 does.
yeah, the
that's the ends of the
125 is a little
spectrum.
different. A little different.
Oh, yours is different than mine, but yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying though. It's a very similar spoked. What are we? 7 spokes.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
find that the 80s kind of have their own vibe because they've got this smaller core with a greater ratio of urethane. So this is only my personal preference. Oh, and I probably should say, like, everything we're going to discuss tonight, like, this all comes from our own personal skating experience and preferences. Like, there's no right or wrong. Like, what I might like, David might dislike, and that's totally fine. Obviously, like, someone's impression of a wheel is gonna, be a function of how much they weigh, like what kind of a skater they are, like how their body moves. But yeah, so take all these thoughts for what they are. But yeah, I found that, like, I don't like this wheel. It feels, because it's like, I think it's because there's a very big stiff core, and so it makes the wheel feel hard to me. Like, I'm not a heavy guy, so for me, like, skating 85A is like a sweet spot for hardness. But I do like the 100 mm hydrogens, and I like the 80s and 90s when I've skated them. Have you guys ever noticed that they feel different depending on what the core is?
Yes, but I don't know that I would say the grip feels different. Or did I misunderstand you?
Oh,
Well,
you said hard, Brad. Did you mean harsh?
I mean, yeah,
Or
like it feels harder, like the wheel feels harder because,
interesting.
like, maybe the core is not flexing as much on every stride in the same way that something like the 80, like the urethane is going to deflect more than the core will, and it's going to give the ride a certain feel. And so, whereas this
There's some
guy is mostly core, so I feel
Yeah.
like the core dominates the feeling of this ride.
I think there's definitely truth to that, but part of it, and like we talked about before the stream, is the amount of urethane, right? Because if that core is really large, you're going to have less urethane, and then you're going to feel bumps more. But I don't know that I've ever felt like I had less grip physically, so much as I can just feel the road more. It's like someone took some of my suspension away from
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Have you guys ever noticed on hydrogens how the grip changes as you wear the wheel?
Yes.
What is, like, I always feel like it feels the grippiest when they're pretty new,
Brand new.
but then when they're really, like, beat,
Yeah, they're
it feels
gliding.
like, yeah, it feels like they're going to start, like, chunking off.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like them the best when they're brand new.
Yeah.
Like the first session in hydrogen, and undercover is the same way. The first session is always the grippiest to me, and then afterward, I open up more sliding that I can do, but I never get that deep grip that I get out of it the first session again.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, because I agree, and I love. So this, if we're all saying the same kind of thing, it's interesting because we probably like softer wheels, but the
Yeah.
drawbacks or the flip side of it is that they wear too quickly. So I also really like the first session in a set of wheels. I know, like, I will also need a rocker in that scenario probably. So otherwise I'm gonna just be stuck to the ground. But yeah, I do notice these start to feel a little more. The hydrogens start to feel more like plasticky as they get closer to the core. Which, well, I know it's not dual, durometer, dual pore, or anything like that. So it should be the same stuff all the way through. But I wonder if it's as the ratio starts to change between the urethane and the core, right? Effectively, like, this was an 84, but now it's smaller than this 80. but I mean, it's a drastically different experience you're going to get from these two. And this is like way lighter. This
Yeah.
has more rebound, but now
I suspect that's what we're feeling is like the core is obviously staying the same size, but the urethane is getting smaller as we wear it. So I suspect what we're really feeling is the stiffness is changing because the urethane is getting worn away and we have a greater ratio of core.
Jordan makes a good point in the comments here, saying they get old and the urethane hardens. So they get slicker.
Definitely true.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long I'm skating these wheels for, but even just their exposure to light and to like the elements probably ages them in that way.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna take a slight.
Oh, do you have a new and an old?
Yeah, so we're gonna come back to this wheel. This is the wheel from like the year 2000, and it says that it's 85A. Anybody want to take? So I've got this on our A scale. So anyone want to take any guesses what this is going to measure at?
Oh, what it says it is versus what your meter says it is?
Yeah.
Is it going to measure it like 100? Is it going to measure really hard? Really?
I would think so.
Yeah.
95.
So normally, like when wheels are specified as 85A, they're generally like you're going to get like plus or minus 1. So it could be anywhere from 84 to 86.
Yeah.
I'm measuring right on the center edge of this wheel. I'll just take a couple spots. I got 84.5, 86.5, 85. So I don't think it hardens when it gets older.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
maybe
I think
too.
maybe what he's alluding to is, and I see this in the quad roller skating groups a lot, because in that sect of skating, it's really big. Like a lot of people are really big on buying old skates that are, from the 70s and the 80s. And a lot of these people will get on forums and report, hey, I got this skate from Rydell from 1985 and it's got the same, cannibal wheels that came on it back then. And I tried to skate it and the wheels just basically crumbled.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they got harder, that they just got brittle. So hardness, brittle, like, I see that all the time on the rollerblading forums when like, I'm getting back into skating. I dug my USD, aggressive skates out from the from the basement, and not only do the wheels shatter, but like the entire skate will just disassemble, like disintegrate. So brittleness, hardness. That's interesting. I don't think we're in the brittle category for like a hydrogen wheel that people are skating, but
no.
No.
What was I going to say? So I forgot what I was going to segue into.
Oh, the old wheel?
No, with something on the hydrogen. We were talking about the core sizes.
We're talking about the amount of urethane outside of the core.
Yeah. So here's something interesting. Well, maybe I'll show this when, I guess we can transition into endless wheels here. Let's see if I've got, do I have an 80, a 90? Let's see. Did I not bring up an 84 endless?
This is a 90.
Anybody have I didn't even do it.
This was an 84. These are the same. Is the same core on the 84 and the 90? It is, huh?
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so we use the same core on the 84.
I'll put like some light in the background.
Yeah, this is a 90 millimeter. I didn't bring up the 84, but we actually use the identical core on the 84s. So the 84s have a skinnier tire than the 90.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the wheel is smaller, it's a stiffer wheel. And so it tends to ride really fast, almost as fast as the 90, because you just don't get as much urethane squish. And because that core is so big, it's like, it just makes it very light. So I believe our 84 millimeter wheels weigh less than our 80 millimeter wheels.
Oh yeah, I remember talking about that with the arc frame.
So this is the 80. This is mostly urethane, versus the 84, which has essentially this size core. So yeah, it's crazy, and that's one of the reasons we're able to make the arc setups, our 5-wheel frames, so they're so light, is partially because of that. Um,
Is
so
the-
Daniel, go
Is
ahead.
the Endless 80 the same core as the Hydrogen 80? Just out of curiosity.
That is a good observation.
When you held it up, it looked kind of like it.
Yeah, no, it's very close.
Is it more like the undercover core?
They're different.
Oh, it's spoked. Okay.
So I've heard from people that
Huh.
they break this core, but I've never heard anybody breaking this core.
The
Interesting.
one on the black one is the
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Ah, okay.
Which is around. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's really hard to tell the difference from here.
they're very similar, but the Endless one has more spokes.
Okay.
And
Yeah, the Hydrogen is all 7 spoke, even though they're really tight. It's still
Here's-
7. That's interesting.
yeah, here's an undercover. This is actually is a good segue. This is actually an undercover wheel that this is, I think, 88A, but this has the full, what they call the full profile. I don't know if you guys can see this, but the bullet is the yellow wheel and the full radius is the black wheel. It's kind of like it has a smaller radius on the sides and then goes to a bigger radius on the center edge. And then, on the obviously on the other side, a small radius. So it's almost like it's like flat. I kind of feel like this was Powerslide's attempt at making taking an aggressive style profile and putting it on a big wheel.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask. Is did they market this to aggressive skaters?
I think so, because they tend to
Probably
stick
did.
this full profile on wheels that are like 88A.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting feeling because when you go onto your edges, it's like the radius changes. Like on a bullet profile,
It increases.
you got like a snap as you go from edges. And then if you're on a round profile wheel, you get this like continuous edge. But this thing is kind of like a lot of stability on the center edge, but then you kind of really feel the edge.
It's a smaller contact point when you tip, right?
So it's like you really feel like, it's not like really feel, it's all subtle probably in the grand scheme of things, but you do feel like going from here to here to here.
Like a flat top.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys have any of you guys skated these full profile wheels?
No, I've never seen them.
Mm-mm. No,
Yeah,
I know the
it's
aggressive versions are
It's a
It
don't seem appealing to me at all either.
It doesn't sound like anything I would enjoy personally.
Yeah, I don't. I'm of the opinion that if you're, well, I'm going to throw this out there. In theory, a perfect skater would wear their wheels completely evenly, both inside and outside edges. Never need to rotate their wheels. And that would mean that you're spending a lot of time on the sides and not the center, probably.
Right.
Look at that perfect wheel.
Look at this guy. Brad skating yeah, I bet you rotated it.
I
but,
I rotate often, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's an interesting concept of how wheels bear the imprint of our skating style and preference, like the insole of your shoe. You have your toe imprints and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
but it's not really about the wheels. That's about the skater.
So I want to come back to the endless wheels. I want to ultimately rate these relative to everything else we're talking about. Maybe at the end we can summarize what some of our absolute favorites are and what some of our hell no, I'm never riding these ever again are.
Okay. I've got one of those.
Apparently Emmanuel here has got one. He hates the Powerslide spinners.
Oh, those are stock wheels, right?
Yeah.
Emmanuel, I'm on the same page as you, my friend. When I bought my first pair of hardcore Evos in 2018 or 2019, they came with spinners and they were terrible. They're such a cheap wheel for. I'm gonna give Powerslide a hard time here.
Yeah.
For the skate price.
I just want to preface this. I love Powerslide as a company. I think that like what they do for skating is really awesome because they're kind of like, they dabble in all sorts of things and they're not afraid to try products that end up not working out. But they're expensive skates. For the longest time, man, they gave trash laces and bad wheels on their expensive skates, and there's kind of no excuse for that.
So let's talk about trash wheels. I have a couple. Let me see if I can find. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is the Street King, I think it's called. It comes on
Ooh.
FR lower end
Oh yeah.
FR skates. This is 80 millimeter 85A.
Okay.
Oh, one of the tell me if you guys agree with this. I think one of the telltale signs of a really cheap, crappy wheel is when they're brand new, they kind of have a textured surface to them and they're not all slick and glossy like this.
Ooh. There were some comments about that slick glossy coating that people are wondering, like, what is that about? Can we talk about it, etc. But
Yeah.
to your point about the FR wheel, is it like pores almost, or is it like,
I don't know if you guys can see.
it's like almost like a
It's
brushed matte
yeah,
texture.
it's like somebody took sandpaper, fine sandpaper, but I don't think they did. I just think it's the way that they're made in the urethane. But I've noticed that on maybe, was it micro wheels? Definitely these. Yeah. So cheap wheels. These are like, they come on like FRX, I think FR3, some of the lower end FR models. I don't particularly like them. I find that cheap or the lower end wheels tend to feel really plasticky. They lack grip. The ride doesn't feel very smooth. They obviously don't wear very well. What are you holding up there, David?
Atom Matrix.
Flip it around. Yeah. Where's that made?
This is.
Oh, this is
cool.
Actually, I don't know where it's made. It's one of Atom / Legino's low end wheels. I think I paid like, I don't know, $5 a piece for these 100 millimeter wheels years ago.
Okay. This is an undercover wheel. Look at this core. Okay. This is an undercover wheel collab with Endless. Look at that core. This is an Endless wheel. Look at that core. Now,
Yeah.
David, hold up your wheel. It looks like the same core.
It looks like it. Oh, but it has like a little spine.
No, this one has a spine too.
Oh, it does?
It's actually identical. It's a counterfeit. David has a Chinese counterfeit core.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like it looks a little different to me, but
So-
I guess I believe you that it's the same.
So,
It's trying to be the same thing.
Yeah. And there's a number of wheels on the market that are made by various brands. The way to know if what I've been told from the manufacturer that makes, that made these wheels, that makes, did I hold this one up? This one. They claim that they designed this core and that the Chinese ripped it off ages ago. And so if you ever buy a wheel that has a core that looks like our Endless wheels or looks like the Made in USA undercover, but your wheel does not say Made in the USA, it's likely an Asian made wheel with counterfeit Chinese cores.
Yeah.
And so I would say ethically don't support that, even if you think it's a good wheel.
Well, I don't. It's terrible. The urethane, it's really hard and it lasts forever. I skated a pair of these for like a year and then I moved to a better wheel and I never went back.
Someone mentioned I believe the NN Evo wheels use that core. I think maybe Caleb can correct us if we're wrong.
They wore down so fast.
I do not believe that they are made in USA wheels. So I
didn't know NN made wheels or has wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell packs that come with the, that you can get with the frame or separate.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they have mixed wheel size things. You kind of like, it's nice to have the right set. Oh, that reminds me of the Yo-Yo Sago wheels.
Oh, do you have those?
No. But I saw my friend had them until he just had cores left on the front of his skates with no more urethane at all.
What
How much
happened?
time
At
did that
all.
take?
He skated him a while, a few months, I think 6 months total, and trading off on other skates. And all the other wheels on the frame looked pretty good. And the front was a plastic core.
I
That's
got
not
I
it.
mean, he fell hard, like because he just like pushed through on the group skate,
And it just decored.
it was well, it had been decoring like throughout the day.
Are these the orange ones?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like the rest of the wheels looked fine, but he must have been like toe push dominant or what have you. It was brutal. I have a picture of it. It just looked so stumpy on the front. You could hear him skating
Oh, wow.
like pawing at the ground.
Have you
And he's
guys-
like, I'll buy the same ones again because they come in the 84, 72,
Yeah.
80, 80, or whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever arrangement, like the 3 different wheel sizes per frame. He was like, well, that's the easiest way for me to do it. And they lasted 6 months, so I'll do it again. I'm curious to see if it happens again because that was through winter. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen any other wheel do that.
No. And I would
So-
say I've never seen any made in USA wheel do that.
Yeah, I mean, those frames are.
So anyway, back to crappy wheels or cheap wheels. I should say they're not all crappy because you can get cheap wheels that are great. And David's going to love one of these. So
Mhm.
Oh, I see you have a Lebeda shooter in your hand.
yeah, it's coming. So these Icon wheels, I think this is the Axis.
I have some of those
Yeah.
similar icons out. I'm down to
This
chat
is the
about those.
Axis. This isn't the. I believe the ones that are made of cornstarch are actually made in the USA.
I didn't hate them.
Yeah, and
Cornstarch.
yeah,
Partial.
They're like an eco-friendly. I think they're called the Eco wheel.
Yeah, EQO. I want to say.
These,
Nice.
I have to say, shout out to Matthias, man. These are the most plastic feeling wheels I've ever experienced in my life.
I bet you could front side grind or wheel slide on those so easy though.
Yeah, I hated these. Like, there's only been one other set of wheels that I actually hated, and they were like those LED light up wheels that I bought from AliExpress for like $35 for a whole set of 90s.
Mhm.
Those were trash, and they were like 90A. But yeah, I did not. I got these to test like the ARC CS frame, and I just at the
The
time
68s.
I needed 68 and 76s with the same profile, and this was like one of the
Mhm.
only options. We've since made our own, but yeah, I did not enjoy this.
So what you're saying is I could put those on the middle and put softer wheels on the outside, and I could do some sick slides. I could do some grinds. Or maybe I could wear. Yeah, I don't know. It sounded like they were just plasticky and not
they were
fun.
plasticky, but I talked to somebody else that tried a different size, and they had a more favorable impression about them. So again, maybe you really have to evaluate each wheel size on its own merits, because the core has such a strong influence on the overall ride experience.
What's the core like on that one? Is it the same where it's kind of like offset? Oh no, that is a different core.
Yeah, so the core you're holding
This
up
core is really good.
Yeah, Billy. So that's our core that we're using.
That's the
on
same
new
core,
round
okay.
wheels. Yeah,
These were 84 at one point. They are not that anymore.
yeah.
But they're 88A, and I liked them on the. Or no, maybe they were 76, but I
Oh,
had them on the middle of the arc, and having an 88A in the middle helped the swivel action.
we're going to come back to this, but
Oh,
I think
nice, that core.
this is an OG wheel from a long time ago. I bet this was the original core design, and it's since been turned into this cheap Asian-made copy. So here's a cheap wheel.
Someone was saying the icons are on sale everywhere. Oh,
Cheap but not crappy.
Cheap but not crappy. And here's my theory why it's not crappy. What does that say?
Let me guess.
I'll read it for
Oh, that
everybody.
it's made in the US.
Yeah, made in California.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
There's a trend here.
Yeah.
In my experience, I'll keep saying this throughout this entire show, is I feel like all the best wheels are made in the US. It has nothing to do with me being a patriot or me being like xenophobic or any BS like that. It's just all my favorite wheels happen to be made in the US. And I think it's because the American manufacturers have just been at it longer. And so they've
Yeah.
dialed in their urethane recipes and their manufacturing processes. And they just, everybody else is just trying to copy and catch up to what the Americans basically established in like the 90s or the early 2000s.
I agree
Is it
with
a-
that. Yeah.
Quantity,
So-
quality over quality situation there. 'Cause
Yeah.
I would assume you're just the factories in some of the Asian countries are just pumping out like
They're making-
100x more or 1000x more.
they're
whatever
just
it
cheap.
is.
So
What are the ones you have in your hand? What
these are the shooters. David, what's the
shooter.
hardness
Okay.
on these? Oh, we can measure it.
Dude, those are like 78.
Okay.
Oh, that's why Drew City Blade said the God wheel in all caps because he wants a super soft wheel, or he likes a soft wheel.
I'm getting harder
Oh,
than
it's
that.
so- they're
I'm
so
getting
good.
81. I'm getting
So-
81.
Okay, he said 78.
Interesting. Because depending on where you buy them, you'll find them listed as 78, and then other places will list them as 82.
I wonder if it's the size. Actually, I know it's the size. I think certain sizes only come in 78, and then other sizes come in the 82.
Well, but I usually only buy them in either 76 or 80 millimeters. I've never bought them in anything else. And
Are
I
your
mean,
76, 78, or your 76? These are 76.
I have them in both. I use them in 80 more than anything, but I have bought them in 76 a few times.
David, what size wheels do you usually skate? You said 76 and 80. Is that your and then 90 maybe?
My preference varies depending on what I'm doing. But if you're asking like what my favorite is, it's 4x80 Rockard.
Oh, okay. Cool. Just curious.
Fussolino on Instagram is saying Lobeta shooters are great for a wood rink surface. Have you skated rinks a lot, David? Have you tried the shooters at the rink?
Yes, that's actually where I learned about the shooters, was in a rink in Oklahoma City called Skate Galaxy. And they have a polished, like sticky urethane floor that they actually upkeep really well. So they buff it out and then recoat the floor every October, and they sell those shooters. And I skated those shooters on a pair of hockey skates and could not get them to break loose at all.
Like almost dangerous, right?
They're so I mean, it's the closest roller skating experience that you can get to an ice skate, because you can't grip anything like you can grip ice with an ice skate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lobetas are known for being like super grippy. And so
it's like a hockey brand kind of.
Yeah, even their
It is.
harder urethanes don't feel. You know how like if you ride something that's like 88 or 90, it can start to feel a little plasticky, and like you'll slip out on a deep push or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the Lobetas at the harder wheels, they just don't do that. They're just super grippy all the time. So yeah, not the best for sliding, but good for, these are great. Like if you're on a budget, I feel like you're in the 76, 80 millimeter range. These are a really good bargain.
The one thing that I will say about those is that they're sold as a hybrid hockey wheel, so for indoor, outdoor.
Yeah.
But I would say that they perform really well everywhere, but understand that if you buy them and you skate them in the street, they will disappear faster than like an 84 or 85A. That, like, your wheels that you sell will outlast the shooters all day, but you can get a shooter for like $3.
Yeah, they're cheap.
So
Well, I'm gonna try them now.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I like
worth
a grippy. Yeah.
Yeah, Billy, they'll be gone in like 2 sessions for you.
Yeah, but like those would be some glorious sessions, and maybe I seek out a different surface. It's not asphalt or something.
If you have like a couple miles from my house, there's an inline hockey rink that's outdoors in a park.
Oh, polished or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really smooth concrete surface, not polished, because they want some grip. But
sure.
But if you have anything like that where you are, that's where I would say take them, and you'll get the optimal experience there.
Nice.
Yeah. So Joe here is recommending the Millennium Soft. I have not used those. I'm assuming those are a hockey wheel that Lobeta makes.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah.
Brad,
so,
real quick, Joe is an OG viewer of mine. He's been around since my first 100 subscribers.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, Joe.
So go distance. Love it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Somebody was asking about rain wheels. I have no experience. I just run in the like I I try not to have my bearings roll. I just kind of like, or I'll heel press through puddles to try to mitigate the damage. Or it's so interesting coming from the biking world where there's bearings all over the bike, but you could just drag it through a lake. Who cares? Or through a river. But as soon as it gets a little wet, we're like, well, that's this session, you know. Like it's been a weird adjustment for me to have to really suss out the weather to go skating. I don't know. This is maybe it's not a new thing for y'all, but
I never skate in the rain.
okay.
I do not either.
Right, but I would ride my bike in the rain, kind of no problem, you know. So it's very interesting. And then rain wheels seems like trying to get people more comfortable, but they're just soft. Is that like, do they have anything else about them that's different?
I think they're just soft.
I don't
Like
yeah, I
if
don't
they
know.
had like texture maybe, or something, you know, like, you know, when you wear some wheels like the cloud wheels, they get almost like a fingerprint texturing to them.
Yep.
Like that'd be cool, because maybe they'd have like how like a rain, you know, like a car tire has like some siping or something like that.
So
like I don't know. Anyway.
Hey, is this an MPC rain wheel? No, it's an Endless 110.
And it's 86A instead of 84A.
So our wheels are 85A. These are made by MPC. I want to come back to this wheel, but yeah, maybe somebody can look up and tell us in the comments what the hardness of the MPC rain wheels is.
I think it's 84.
Yeah, Powerside makes a wheel called the Torrent.
Oh, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. I'll look up the MPC rain wheel.
Should we continue our discussion of Asian-made wheels? Because I think there's some favorites that we can discuss. I've got I know a lot of people have tried these and probably have thoughts. Good old Street Invaders.
Hey.
At first they were Seba, and then, as many people probably know, like Sebastian took some skates, so, you know, and split off from Seba, the Seba brand, and made FR. And they, you know, I assume they're making the wheels at the exact same factory. Like the cores look the same, the wheels feel the same. They have the same, like sometimes the bearings don't go in as easily as they should.
Sure, it's like little QC.
Yeah, some QC issues. So yeah, I've got these two. This is the 84. This is an 80. What's interesting is this has got a round.
Talk about
profile.
that 84. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a round. I would call this a true round profile. It pretty much
vertical parallel walls
matches what I've created. It's close. Yeah, it's very, very close. The 84, they advertise as a round, but it's not exactly the same. Yeah, the walls are tapered.
These aren't going to show it, but
so I always thought that was interesting. What do I got here? This is a 76.
That was the disappointing thing about using those. And I know you kind of like that was the best option for putting on the arc frames to begin with, but yeah, you got that mixed profile rocker that sort of accentuates the rocker on the toe and heel because it's not in the same plane.
Yeah,
like
so
the contact patch not in the same plane. It was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why should people always have the same profile on all their wheels?
So they have even contact across the blade or across the frame
when it's tipped, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like
flat or rocker. I guess that would be regardless of whether it's flat or rockered. I think it's almost like more important when it's a flat skate.
Yeah, if you have a mixed profile setup where half the wheels are one and half the wheels are the other, when you go over on your edges, you're gonna.
It increases your rocker.
Yeah.
So okay,
and that's done on purpose in the aggressive world. I know we're not going to really talk about that, but it's like
That's
You
cool.
use the same wheel size and you
Right.
use like fat
Yeah.
ones in the middle and skinny ones on the ends, and then you have this really sketchy moment where you're balancing on one wheel, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
I
so
mean
it's all,
that's
But-
true. That's yeah, no, that I mean that's a good point. And would just point out that of all of the skating disciplines, I think aggressive tends to use the edges the least.
Yeah. The whole
although
point
they're
is that it's
starting,
Go
they've
ahead, Brad.
discovered
Yeah.
edges recently.
well, a few
Through
people
wizard
have.
skating.
I mean, we're not going to get into it, but I will
Well,
say
good.
that
Sure, yeah.
when you the nice thing about, like, some people might not notice mixed profile because if you're skating on the center edge,
You won't notice it.
they're all touching, right?
Yeah.
It's only when you
So I've heard
do
it
some
referred
dynamic
to.
skating.
Yeah, I've heard it referred to as magic rocker, where you've got the outside
yeah.
wheels, like you're saying, with bullet, and the inside wheels with the round profile.
Mhm.
And then when you go over, it's like you get less contact on the, on the side edge, on the front wheels, and so it essentially, you now have a rocker, but you only notice the rocker when you're on an edge, which it can actually be really cool. So for anybody that has like like the standard stock 243 millimeter 4x80 frame, if you want it to still feel, not that 243 ever feels long, but if you want it to feel stable when you're just like cruising down a hill, but you want it to be maneuverable when you're carving, you could experiment with putting a bullet profile in the front and a round profile in the center, and you'll get that
Mhm.
kind of hybrid
Park skating,
experience.
skate park skating.
Yeah.
You want, when you're going up a ramp, or you're kind of carving around, not on your edges, but going up a ramp, you want stability when you land, and then you want that ability to kind of tilt it. But one of the differences about a rocker frame with all the same profile and then a magic rocker on a flat frame is the magic rocker, you'll never actually achieve a parabolic carved edge. All you'll get is a pivot point. So does that make sense? Like, if you were to tip the skate on its edge, and it's a rockered frame, and they'll go from only two of them touching to all of them touching. But on the magic rocker, I don't think they'll ever all touch at the same time on a curve.
Yeah,
like
I
on
know
an arc, like on
Yeah.
like a ski has a parabolic edge.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Same idea. So you never really get a true carve, but you do have pivot points. So
it feels like, have you ever done it? I skated an early Swan prototype like that, and
mixed.
it Nicholas Swan.
Mhm.
It feels rockered, but I know what you're saying. It's technically not. I think it feels rockered because you're compressing the urethane as you're like pushing into the carve.
And then you get them to all hook up.
Yeah, and then
and rockered is different than having an arc. I mean, I'm kind of mixing topics there, but it definitely creates a pivot point. And I've had to deal with mixed profile wheels when you have 76s on the middle and 125s on the ends. You don't really have a lot of options for having the same profile. So, but I'm just kind of chucking it around at that point. So yeah.
No, that's an interesting point, and I don't tend to skate frames that are extremely long like that and have a lot of wheels. So it's a good
That's a fun
thing.
one to just just fill up the screen with it. But yeah, this one I have to tune the rocker very carefully, and so there's specific wheels of like 74.5, 75, 75.5. And they're all different profiles, but I think like eventually I'll wear them into the same profile. And that's the other point, is the magic rocker goes away.
Yeah. So Drew here, his comment about the magic rocker, he said, I think when I tried it, it felt rockered until you got deep enough, then it felt flat again. I don't remember that happening, but yeah, it's not the same as just having a properly rockered frame. So how do you, just to finish up on Street Invaders here, what's your general thought on these in comparison to everything else you've tried? Do you like Street Invaders? Do you feel they have good grip? Do you feel like they have good speed?
No.
Okay, David.
No, I don't. Okay. I'm gonna say I have two experiences to draw from with Street Invaders, and that's I have a pair of Seba FRXs. They came on a 84 millimeter frame in 2014, and they had Street Invaders from a decade ago, and I remember them being pretty good, but I didn't have as much experience with wheels back then as I do now. And when you sent me the Arc CS, you might remember you sent them with FR Street Invaders, and I skated about 3 sessions on them, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I like these frames. And what I discovered was that I didn't like the wheels, and they made the frame feel not flat, but like clunky. Like I felt like the wheels were super hard and they stole my edges, not just because they were hard, but because of the shape of them. They just
Okay.
didn't have an edgy feel at all. And when you sent me the cloud wheels that are bullet profile, I was like, oh my God, completely different. Just a game changer.
So what you're saying is if I send you the new round profile endless wheels, you're gonna hate them.
Well, you have sent them to me, but I haven't tried them yet because it's 100 degrees outside every day. So I spend my days in the ice rink in the summer.
I would say I agree with TS that the speed of the Street Invaders is not good, and I think
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I agree there. And
Someone said they don't even
Emmanuel said he
spin in
hates
their
them.
skates. Like they just QC, they just like hit the walls and they like drag and stuff like that. I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah, QC on these I feel is pretty
Interesting.
subpar, especially like when you're attempting to put in bearings. Like if you
These
ever
are a Chinese made wheel, Brad?
I believe these are made by. They are made in Thailand, I believe.
Okay.
And by Bravo Asia, but I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're made in Thailand. I feel like the quality control on the core is not the greatest, and sometimes it can be very difficult to get bearings in, which should not be the case. Like bearings should be tight and snug, but they shouldn't go in. You shouldn't need to really lean on a bearing press to get the bearing in.
Not with a plastic core, especially.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so what I've seen happen with Street Invaders is people don't get their bearings fully seated, and then they force their wheels into their frames. And because the bearings are sticking out a little bit, not only do they screw up the wheel boxes in the frame, they like scrape a bunch of aluminum off, and now you don't have nice, smooth smooth interface surfaces. But then you start to get a wheel rub because you don't have properly seated bearings. So anyway, I feel like they're okay to ride. They're not fast. They are soft. They're 84A, which gives them some. I feel like the 84A, it's making them slower, but gives them some grip. And it's offsetting the fact that the urethane kind of has like, to me, it feels chalky. Like when you go to do a slide, it has like a certain, like an undercover or an endless wheel or hydrogen has like a really smooth transition into a slide that's like very predictable. And I feel like this has a different thing going on that's a little slipperier. Maybe. Do you feel this way, Billy? Because you do a lot of wizard skating and you probably...
Yeah. What's up, David? You look like you were gonna say something.
Well, no, Brad just said maybe a little slipperier, and that was exactly how I was feeling. That they are a softer wheel, but they just feel soft in that they're slow. And as far as like getting over onto the edges, they feel slick and unpredictable. And it's like a 88A or a 90A wheel in that respect.
Yeah.
All right, let's measure.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I want to hear the measurement because they're
like, I'm not saying that I think it's actually that duro, but just
wow. Okay.
They are soft. I can feel it in my hand. It compresses.
Brad said, "Oh wow."
Yeah. Well, how much?
I'm getting 80 on the center. Let me take a couple measurements. 80 on the center edge. Wow. They're not even 84. Let me just make sure I zero this again, just in case.
My God.
Okay, I'm getting 81.5 on the center edge, 82. And then on the side,
Oh, they're so soft. It's crazy.
81 on the side. Yeah, they're not. All right, let me measure a different one. So
I have a theory.
someone asked
Yeah,
earlier
let's
about
see
colors.
if there's some consistency there.
Yeah, here's a black one. This one's 82.5.
Still way softer than they advertised.
82. If I measure on the side of it, it's 77 on the black one.
What? So they're like,
That
I
must
think they're
be why
soft, but they're
slow.
not
They're probably
rubbery.
deflecting.
Oh my god.
That's why they're slow, is because they squish a lot. I feel like the rubber to plastic ratio.
Oh,
if
here
were
we
to
go.
get
Okay.
Okay, we're getting
polyurethane-
somewhere.
Okay,
I
what'd you get?
wonder if the new FR Street Invaders is a slightly. I think they did say they improved the formula for the Street
Gotta
Invader
be the
2s
formula.
over the original. These are original Street Invaders, and this is advertised as 84A, and it measures 80. This one's saying 80. Whoops, my hand was on the thing. This one's. Oh, that's at 81 too. Okay.
Wow.
Oh wow. No, 88 on this edge. 86. This is harder. The old one's harder. I wonder if they changed some stuff and they never really remeasured it, but they didn't want to change the spec on the wheel. Yeah, 86. This purple one's measuring 86 on the center edge. This 84.5 there. This one's closer to what it says on the wheel.
The originals.
Yeah, but this one and the black one are much softer. I've noticed it. This one does feel more plasticky. When I've skated these older Seba ones, they have felt a little more plasticky.
Yeah, they slip and slide in like a way that's a little scary for sure. But then they're slow also. So it's like soft but plasticky versus some of the other ones we talked about are like they can even be hard, but they're rubbery. So like you mentioned, like what was it the word, like the compound or the blend or whatever?
The urethane formula?
Formula, that's the word. Yeah, where there's like I don't really know the science of it, but there's, I'm sure, like a mix of like rubber and plastic, right? And we get like the ratios. And yeah, it's funny. Everyone is like, talk about how the profile flattens out, like they're butter, they're like chalk. It's
the truth comes out tonight.
Yeah, I like that one.
There's a lot of wizard skaters that like these wheels, and I think it's because of that plasticky chalkiness. It allows them to cheat through their transitions.
Well, center edge swivel, right?
Yeah.
You're on a pivot point, and the other wheels aren't complaining about it. They're like, cool, let's glide.
Yeah, let's go for a ride.
Yeah, which is a type of swiveling, right? It's not three turns necessarily. It's a static, center edge swivel,
like swiveling on a pivot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like something like a compass spinning around versus something carving like the curves of a road. Like a
Jordan's got a cynical take here. He says that they probably made them softer to make them cheaper so people burn through them. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think
then you won't buy them again,
Yeah. I mean, don't they put these on a lot of their slalom setups? So the round profile is nice for slalom. The softer wheel gives you some grip. I mean, a slalom skater is not really worried about speed or
no.
Yeah, but for an urban skating wheel, I've skated this a lot on my 5-wheel frames. So I feel like I have a pretty good feel for it. And I remember the first time I skated them, I loved the feeling of the round profile because it's like one continuous edge. But I knew that I knew instantly it wasn't as high quality a urethane as like hydrogen.
Right.
And the 84 actually has a pretty small core. So now you're taking that soft urethane and you've increased the ratio of urethane to core. And it's just
that tire.
Like no long wear, but like I want to talk about this at some point because Wizard did small cores with big urethane, but they made it harder wheel.
Probably to compensate for how slow they are.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you have soft urethane with small core, you're just like,
it sucks.
There's all this deflection. It's smushing into the ground. It's like flattening out when it's contacting the ground.
So little tangent here. This is a Loco revolver that I actually purchased this set used from our good friend Andrew Yu, approximately in line. I was curious to try them out when they came out, and because they had a round profile, and I wanted to skate a round profile 100. This was the slowest wheel I've ever skated in my life. And I thought it was because the wheel sucked. And actually it might, but I think a lot of it
big round wheels.
Yeah, it just round profile is just slower by definition.
God, look at all that urethane.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it is.
It's just slower. It's just round profile wheels are always slower. And so I think there's probably a place for this wheel now with like a Wizard Advance frame where you want a round profile wheel in the front and the back.
Yeah.
Right. But for somebody who wants to dart around the neighborhood or go for a distance skate, like this was just a total letdown. And so
I have the 90s of those because I thought they'd be round enough to match. I have a version of this frame that's not, this is 76 and 125. I have a version that's 72 and 90. And I had 72s that were round Street Invaders. And I got the Revolver round 90s, but they weren't actually round. They're similar to the 84 Street Invaders, Brad, where the walls of the wheel are tapered and then it's round just on the surface. But that still means that there's a magic rocker, dark magic, bad magic rocker. But don't want that kind.
Paul's got a good question here, which is what makes a round wheel slower than bullets? Maybe Billy, you can talk to this with your bicycle background. It really comes down to
contact patch. Yeah. That's one of the things that, exactly. Like the reason that you see fat tire bikes around is because they have more contact with the ground. Like any wheel will deflect to some amount, right? And form a flat surface against the ground. And the question is sort of how big of a surface is created by that wheel, like at the tangent, the ground is a tangent to the circle. Yep. And the bigger the wheel, the longer the contact patch, the rounder or wider the wheel, the wider the contact patch. So it's just more.
Yeah. And that's because contact. Like in this, if like my hand's the ground, your body weight is smushing the wheel. So it's flattening it. And if you have a round profile, you end up getting like this pretty big rectangular contact.
Yeah. It's like this versus that.
Yeah.
Think of like a road bike versus a fat bike.
Yeah. You get a much skinnier strip. And if the wheel's harder or you have a stiffer core, you have less deflection, which is a smaller contact patch, which is going to make it faster. There's just less friction. And so.
At least at first, right? Like bullet wheels become round. Depending. I will say, I have
somebody mentioned
these bullet wheels
earlier.
Are still very bullet on my arc frames because I've been sliding.
I said this in our tech tips. If you rotate like every other skate session, your bullet wheel will stay bullet. If you wait a long time to rotate, you'll end up getting the point on one side. And then when you flip the wheel over and you wear it the other way, you're going to get like this pointy.
Work its way down.
Yeah, you're going to get this sharp, pointy profile, which probably feel pretty fast. But if you're doing a lot of like tricks and swivels, it ends up rounding off the wheel and flattening it. Like I have, we'll get to these, but this is a perfect example. This is an older mushroom blading UC wheel, and it's flattened out. Yeah. This was probably on, this was the fourth wheel on the left skate. I always write what they are. So,
I would say that the only time that happens as far as like going from bullet to round profile, I would say you're not using your edges very much.
It's true.
You would just wear the center down. I mean, the same thing happens on a motorcycle to a different degree, right? If you drive on a motorcycle in a straight line and you're never leaning in corners and stuff, you end up with like a strip that's worn down in the middle and your tire looks brand new on the sides. And that's going to happen because you have that really thin contact patch in the middle. But on a bullet profile, this is why I like them, is when you get over onto the edge, you have more surface contact, so it creates more grip.
More grip.
When
That's
you need
kind
it.
of-
Yeah, and
that's
being
why-
like that, I'm doing figure skatery stuff. I'm really edgy when I skate, and I want to be able to flip from edge to edge and then hold that grip.
yeah.
And you can't really do that with a round profile wheel.
No,
I
it's
wish.
the
Oh,
same
here we go.
contact
Yeah.
patch all the way across.
Yeah. All right. Here's my road surface. So if I'm on
Nice.
an edge like this, yeah, I get a pretty big contact patch because, that side of the wheel is basically, it's a bigger radius than what's on the center edge. So as you smush it, yeah, you get a lot of grip.
Are there wheels that aren't even curved, that are just a cone, like a triangular? Because then you'd have the entire edge would be contact. I mean,
But
I'm
then
like-
it's gonna crumble, right?
Yeah.
Then there's not
I
enough
guess the
structure
center
for the
it just
wheel.
goes away, basically
Yeah.
just disappears. So anyway, I just was bullet profile is basically the
Yeah.
closest we get. But similar thing, David, on bikes that are on a trainer or like a static thing, you're literally
Okay.
never leaning it over, so the center of the tire just you see the wear. And or even a cyclist who just likes to go down the path and just ride in a straight line. Yeah, it's the same. It's a very interesting phenomenon.
Yeah.
And
And this-
I wonder about
Right.
wheel widths in general. Like we only have one width of wheel aside from the SUV frames, but yeah, skinnier wheels. Like the core could still be this wide.
Well,
but
that's
it
kind of
could-
like
Well,
that's this.
I think
right?
about
this.
Sorry, go ahead.
This power slide or this undercover full profile. I don't know if you can. Let me see if I can. What size is this? 80.
Does it? It said it flares out.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it kind of like tapers in on the sidewalls, so it
Oh,
actually
it comes
gets,
into the bearing,
Can you hold that up closer, Brad? So I
or
can
even
get
like
a-
on a slight angle so we can see it.
how's that?
yeah.
So because there's a
Okay.
bearing boss, it can take up that space that the bearing boss takes up. Is that?
It
What
just
it's doing?
starts. It just starts tapering from like right outside the core. It just has a slope.
Oh.
Whereas
It
That's
doesn't.
this,
It does. It
interesting.
tapers. It tapers in.
yeah, this
not-
is
not out.
flatter,
Okay,
right?
I
Yeah.
misunderstood.
Whereas this has got like, it's hard to see. Yeah, you can
And
kind of see
actually,
it.
125s do this. I had so like when you stack wheels, right? They're pretty stable. But I got a bunch of old wheels from my friends who skate distance for those big mega frames. And when I stack those wheels, the hub, like the center,
Yeah,
is the size of of a frame width, but they're really tippy because they're actually narrower. Like where the urethane is, they are actually narrower. So this
Okay.
this does exist, that the urethane is actually narrower on a 125 for like a road bike tire is like very skinny.
yeah.
Do you see that on yours, Brad?
I mean, these
Like if
definitely
you-
taper right after the core. So yeah,
The
I mean,
110s don't. They're the same thickness. They're not tippy on the table, but the
yeah,
125s I had are tippy, which to me means the hub is the normal width, and then they're tapering in to the surface. So yeah, I
like
don't know. I think it's interesting that that's an option.
you can see you see how like there's this different textured, this annular
Yeah.
region.
It's like radial.
That's where it comes off the mold, right? Like you can see it there.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
where I'm
Kinda
pointing,
concentric
that's, like, the
circles.
edge. Yeah, like it's a smaller, it's like a thinner, smaller surface on this bigger wheel.
Mhm.
And so it starts like that's flat, right? Because that's like when they pull it off the mold, like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's just I think some of the bigger wheels just have less of a flat section.
So this is 22 millimeters, 22 plus. And then if I measure this 110 MPC, is it the same? No, it's 24. So that's what I'm talking about. So like this part itself here,
Yeah.
like up at the
Yeah.
top
Right.
edge,
Yeah.
24 on this 110. And then on this 125 hydrogen, that same position where it's still plastic and you
Oh,
can
I got-
kind of
yeah,
see
I
where
got
this thing is. This is 22 millimeters. So it's a narrower wheel.
So they are making like a road bike style skinny
Yeah.
tire. Yeah. Which is going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
faster for all the reasons
And
we talked about, and that's why
less contact patch basically,
you know,
and lighter
this is-
weight as well.
this
Right, you don't
comment
need the
here-
urethane on the sides, really.
Yeah.
Yes, that is an accurate comment. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody was asking, I think it might have been Caleb. He keeps asking for a 90 millimeter round profile wheel. Like, yeah, the reason why. All right, so we sell a lot of 90 millimeter frames, right? Endless 90 is probably our most popular product, and I'd say most of those customers, they're looking to cruise around. They're skating through town. They're skating through their cities.
Yeah.
They may be out on a trail. The number of people doing tricks at a spot is probably a small proportion. Like obviously people, people learn, practice their skills. They practice tricks. Billy does some awesome stuff at a small little spot. But, most of us, we appreciate the speed and the roll. So like, again, going back to these, where'd I put them? Going back to these Loco revolver 100 millimeter round profile, like it's just not, the cruise factor sucks. Like it's slow. I think if you want to get grandma or like your 75-year-old parent on rollerblades and you don't want them to go too fast, get them a round profile wheel because it's going to be more stable, more like
Center edge grip.
Yeah, the center edge grip there's more center edge grip. It's consistent grip at any angle of attack, and they're slower. So
what about round wheels with bigger cores? So less urethane overall, less deflection, and just right up at the edge there's a round profile. Maybe then you'd salvage it, but you'd have a harsh ride. So it's like
you'd have a harsh ride, and the
It would
wheel
be
would
so
just,
harsh.
and you'd go through wheels very quickly.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's.
I think. Going back to Street Invaders, I think part of the reason people like Street Invaders is there's a lot of meat to wear through. So if you don't,
Economical,
yeah, it's economical. Whereas, why
it makes it feel less like you're buying a consumable every time you buy a set of wheels.
Yeah, I really wish I had brought up the 84
Speaking
millimeter.
of which, how about a wheel you could wear all the way down?
Yeah,
Oh
right.
my God. Yeah.
Right. So that's
These
probably
things are bad.
they're probably
There'd be so much flex in those, right?
Well,
Yeah.
there is a core inside of this apparently.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I can actually make an 80 millimeter wheel using this exact same core we use on the 84 and 90 millimeters. And I'm so tempted to do it because it would be the fastest 80 millimeter wheel on the planet.
A core with a couple rubber bands around it. Basically.
Yeah, but it's like you would skate it for like a month and it'd be gone. So I think people
Be
would
a really
revolt.
core skater, though.
Yeah.
No
So
way.
All right, sorry, I had to throw that in one time.
all right.
There'd be no rebound. We haven't talked about rebound enough. I thought it was going to be a drinking game about how many times we said rebound because
We're gonna get
that's
to it.
like honestly the thing that okay, all right, that's my.
I
big
actually
deal.
meant to ask earlier if you could, like, I feel like it would give a good perspective for the viewers if we really define what rebound is.
Okay. So rebound is literally how bouncy the wheel is. So the manufacturers do like, I'm going to simplify this. They basically do like a controlled drop, and they measure how high the wheel bounces back up like a bouncy ball. And so if you've got a wheel with high rebound, it's going to roll faster because you can think of it as it's continuously bouncing. Like as you're rolling forward, like this urethane is hitting the ground and then bouncing this way.
Is it like the deform to reform speed? Like as you deform it, it goes back to shape quicker and it resists deformation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not quite it.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, I mean, there's like an elasticity. There's like a plastic deformation that occurs. That's, that, or an elastic deformation that occurs.
How
So
much
yeah,
of rebound is the core versus the formula of the urethane, do you think?
it's all related. This is
It's
why
like
this is why the manufacturers they're there's nothing to publish or share because, and it's a lot of voodoo, right? Because it's so tied to what the core design is.
Voodoo.
Oh, David. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, but also like an amazing rebound. That's like
Absolutely.
a grail wheel right there. Like,
Absolutely.
you know?
Okay, so-
Absolutely love these wheels.
Okay, here's some. This is unsubstantiated. I probably shouldn't even say it.
Don't say it.
Say it.
Actually, remind me. We got to talk about color
Okay.
and how it affects performance.
Yeah.
There's been
yeah.
a bunch of comments on this.
Mhm.
And
brown being the best color.
I
before we-
actually spoke
before-
to Lino when I met him. We talked about the color differences.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on color. I want to go to high rebound wheels, dual pour wheels. Before we do, though, I just want to finish up with this one right here. This is the FR Urban Speed Wheel. I believe this is made by Bravo Asia. You probably, K2 uses this same core. It's like a nice stiff core. Bullet profile wheel. They put this on their big wheel setups. It is 85A. This is 90 millimeter 85A. I felt like these wheels are fine. They were predictable. They felt fast. They wore kind of predictably. There was nothing that made me upset when skating these. Like I feel like these are they're a decent enough wheel. But again, going back to one of our points from earlier, I think the hydrogen costs less in the US and it's better. So why would I ever skate this if I can get this for less money and it's just better?
Because the 80 mil core is not our favorite on the hydrogen. That would be why.
Unless
that's not an 80.
I like this 80 mil.
Oh, you like this one?
But I'm not somebody that's jumping, I'm not doing hammers off of like 3 flights of stairs. So
this is a hammer wheel. Just kidding. No, I mean, like, it's got more squish. I'm just saying it doesn't feel as lively as some of the other hydrogens.
Yeah.
So that would be why I would go for like a bigger core.
Have you guys ever skated these FR? They're fine. There's like,
what is it again?
It's the FR. This is the Urban Speed. It's 85A.
No,
you can't use that in a rural environment though. Only urban.
Yeah.
Wait. You sent me a set of, like, years ago, you sent me a set of FR Speed wheels, but they were 110s.
It might be the
Not
same,
the same?
series, but it might be the same series. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's obviously a different core. So.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these are they're okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about rebound. I got a whole stack of. Let's get into the MPC world.
Yes, we are equipped.
Got my junk wheels right here.
Oh my God, Brad has this beat.
Okay. So MPC is an American-made company, and their flagship wheel is the Black Magic. And I don't know if you guys can see this. Is this coming through? This is
that the raw urethane?
Yeah, it's got I can really see it. There's like, can you guys see how there's like a pink hue to it, like a reddish hue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not because it's dirty. These are a dual pour wheel, meaning that there's a band of urethane inside at one hardness, and then they pour a second hardness. There you go. That kind of.
This is really showing it because you know what I did.
It's the inner
off the outer layer.
Yeah. So the inner pour is red. And so it kind of shows through that natural urethane color. Yeah, in the room here, these look pink to me. It's just not showing on the camera. But so this is the dual pour wheel, which MPC, this is like a famous race wheel. They're kind of expensive. I think, what do they cost these days? Like $25 a wheel or something.
Yeah. This
is the Black Magic SD, which is a single pour wheel. So it's the same urethane that they use on the outside, but you can see this one's like, doesn't have that orangey reddish tinge. It's because actually this one you can on the back.
That's single pour?
Yeah, it's single pour. You can kind of see the core coming through the urethane. This is the Endless 110.
Same
It is,
core.
yeah. We get this made by
Oh,
MPC.
same core as those other ones
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Single pour,
Fine.
single pour wheel made by MPC in black, 85A. MPC likes to use this hardness rating system where they've got the green
Firm,
ones are
extra
extra
firm.
firm, and this is
Yeah.
extra
Triple
firm.
X. Yeah.
This translates to about sorry. Well, there's all right. This is going to get
Which
confusing.
one? Yeah, you should go through them because I
These are
think
the
most
single
people
pour
don't know this.
wheels. On the single pour wheels, the extra firm is about 83A, and the extra firm is about 85A. However, on the dual pour wheels, this is extra firm and this is 85A.
Right.
And so I actually measured with the durometer earlier just to verify that. Actually, I'm going to do it again just to make sure I'm not spouting.
I would love to know what the inner, the like inner pour or the inner
Actually,
material is.
okay, so here's why they use extra firm and extra firm. So even though I'm saying that this is equivalent to like 85A, I can't get it to measure anything. It's showing like, let me see if I can hold this so you guys can
because
see it.
it's soft.
No, it's because the inner band deflects. So you get like this composite.
Yeah,
Let's see if I can get in.
I saw
Yeah.
a 78, a
Yeah.
76.
Yeah.
It's
So-
so soft in the middle.
It's soft in the middle. I think it's like 63A or something.
Oh,
It's like in the 60s ish. I
they
forget.
basically made a bike tire, is the way I think about it.
Yeah.
It's like a pneumatic tire almost. Like there's like a
Yeah. And so
yeah.
what happens is the inner band is like, I think it's a really high high rebound. And so you get a lot of deflection when you like go into like a turn, and then it's like you rebound out of it. I'm just over.
Little snap.
Yeah, you get some snap. You get like extra grip when you're on edge because the wheel is like compressing internally, but the outer surface is giving you like the feel of the ride.
Well, and the outer surface will wear slower because it's harder.
Yeah.
And it'll slide if it needs to, but you're getting the cushion and the deflection of the softness.
Yes.
It's like nothing else that I've skated personally.
If people haven't tried a dual pour wheel, they really should, because it's like a next level experience in terms of wheels. I feel like if they weren't so expensive, I would put them on everything. Although,
And if they didn't,
I will say that a
Yeah.
lot of people that ride that wheel you're talking about, the Black Magic, the dual pour,
yeah,
a lot of those guys are inline speed skaters and they're skating indoors. And of course they have urethane on the floor, so they pick the hardest ones. And when they buy those things, they last forever because they skate them indoors.
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of them race outdoors on outdoor
Yeah.
track, but
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, this is a race wheel. And I use this, I've had this wheel for a long time now. I don't have my calipers, but it's not 110 millimeters. It might only be like 104 or 105 at this point. But
and
this thing
the inner is not showing.
The inner is not showing on mine. I mean, I can see the colors in the room really well, but this is definitely like one of my fastest wheels. Like, it's super fast, super grippy, just an amazing experience. But the single pour MPC is very similar. And so that brings me to the wheel that David has, which is the Junk Voodoo. That's Voodoo Pro, right?
Yeah.
That is a single pour wheel. I believe it's the same. Someone's gonna watch this like 3 months from now and get all get on our cases. But as far as I know from looking at them, the color of the core is different, which, if you believe that adding these dyes to the core changes the mechanical performance, then yeah, it might feel a little different. But MPC has they got two formulas that they'll offer to OEM customers. They got race and they got hockey. And so
I've also got the hockey too.
yeah, so okay, yeah, let's.
Oh wow, I like how you can see the core through the translucent urethane. That's sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I got
thought
the
about
same
this
one.
wheel when you showed your other one earlier and said that it had a core inside the
Oh,
urethane.
yeah. You got to believe
Yeah.
me on this one, but I can see that one.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is 76 millimeter extra firm. So
Yeah.
it should be this should be 83A. Let's see.
Yeah, I have the extra firm also on
Yeah,
this and
this measures 82.5, 83
Okay.
On the center edge here.
But the rebound on these are different from the junk.
This
Or
is a
the
different,
the voodoo.
yeah, because this is a different urethane formula on these. This is made by MPC, branded junk. Junk gets their wheels made by MPC, which is Murethane Products Corporation. I forget.
Sure.
Yeah.
Here's some interesting stuff. This yellow wheel, this is the MPC Rink Rat Trickster in what they call X grip, which is about 84A. These are the same wheels.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't they discontinue the Rink Rat?
I don't
That's
know.
such a cool looking
but
wheel.
I used to see them everywhere, and then they disappeared, and then I started seeing these come up more. I feel like I'm almost positive Jacob Bulla and I talked about this, that they had discontinued the Rink Rat at some point.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're the same. They're just different colors with different graphics. So sorry if that makes somebody upset.
Is what it is.
And if I was just going to say, if I've got any information wrong, please correct me in the comments 6 months from now.
I have these two. These are Hydrogen Pros. And you mentioned these to me, Brad, when I was getting the Endless 110 frames from you.
Yep.
And I think I found these on like Amazon it was like the last set or something.
It's green, right? Is it green? The text on the
off. It flaked off really quickly. So they were probably old. But what I'm noticing, and you can kind of see this in the light here, these are 105. This one is 105 millimeters now. This one's 104 millimeters.
Okay.
So what that tells me is there's 5 millimeters of the harder outer durometer, or whatever you want to call it, layer, or coating almost. And then when you get past 5 millimeters, this wheel completely turns off. It's like, nope, I am a 68A wheel now.
Interesting.
And I noticed so quickly, because I was doing a lot of swivels on 110s, and you were like, how is this happening? I was like, well, it feels like it's like 86A. Like, it swivels pretty good.
Yeah.
But it has tons of rebound. So it's just lively as all hell. And then I realized that after about 5, I was wondering how far down I would get until I got into the bubble gum. And I got into the
center of the Tootsie Pop.
Yeah, center of Tootsie Pop. How many licks? I don't know, 150, 200 miles, 3 licks. But yeah, so I was like, oh man, like, could they? But I mean, obviously there's science to it. And to your point, David, like, a speed skater wants performance over everything. So
do those
they'll
guys
run it for a race or two and call it, and then throw them in the trash.
Do people that race just use the wheel for one race and that's it? I would imagine they do.
No,
I mean, if you're like a privateer, you're probably, using them more. No. But if you get wheels for free, like, why not?
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know much.
Or what do you think, David? Do you think there's like a point, there's like a benefit to breaking them in a little bit?
I don't know that that's a thing. I have a friend that I've known many years who lives over in the Arlington area, which is right outside of Dallas, and he's a professional inline speed skater. And I've never heard of that. I don't know. I feel like he rides the same wheels for a long period of time. And pretty sure he uses the Black Magic wheels.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what they do, but I would imagine that they're not running them into the ground like Billy did. I would guess that they're probably getting
they're not.
A couple millimeters of wear and calling it good.
They're doing a couple, safety slides here and there, but they're not grinding them sideways across the ground, like doing
Yeah.
swivels and stuff.
No,
So,
well, he skates in a wood floor rink too.
oh, indoor.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I guess I was thinking about a road
Yeah.
racer or like
You-
a ultra distance skater type person.
You can the wood floor. Yeah, wood floor is a totally different beast. You can literally have the same pair of wheels for or set of wheels for a decade
Jeez.
on a wood floor.
And then they start to get that, they kind of retain that filminess to them, right? Like that kind of sheen is what I remember from skating indoors. Maybe I'm wrong, but that
yeah,
they don't get this kind of matte finish.
Yeah, they can over time it'll wear, of course, and then
Yeah.
like roller skate wheels, they come with like quads, they come with grooves cut in the wheel, and that wears off over time, and it increases your grip on clean floors. But you like, unless you have really bad habits, a set of wheels, no matter what you're skating, will last you a long time indoors, unless they're just really crappy wheels.
Did
So-
you know skateboard wheels come pre-surfaced? Like
Which ones?
skateboard wheels, like they're the whole
Yeah.
like that shiny
Yeah.
coating on the outside, they grind
Yeah,
that
yeah.
off like in the factory. And I always wondered why. I mean, we like that shiny outer surface. We never really kind of revisited this topic, but
I think
like most people, they don't like that feeling at all. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm not in control of my skates. They're stuck to the ground. Why don't skate wheel makers just surface it? Is it just too hard to do?
it's expensive. Probably it's just an extra
Yeah.
manufacturing stuff.
They're like, you're gonna do it in a session, so might as well,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like, get a little
So-
more life out of them. Okay. Well,
So so we've got the Black Magics. There's the Junk Voodoo, which is dual pour. The Voodoo Pro or the single pour. The Billy, hold up your Hydrogen Pro.
Hydrogen Pro.
Yeah, so it's the same
Weighs
as
nothing.
it's
Yeah,
made
the
by
kind of fan
MPC.
blade.
Yeah, they just
core.
changed. They changed the color of the core. So funny thing, MPC will not. They would not let me make a wheel with a black core that had the natural urethane because
Oh,
they said even though I was going to put different graphics on it, they thought that speed skaters would get confused. So anyway, that's why all the Hydrogen Pro ones that Rollerblade makes have yellow cores.
to differentiate. Because
wow.
so that they could use the raw urethane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a Hydrogen Pro, an older
Whoa.
version. And so this is one of my favorite wheels. This is actually made by a company called TLTF. They make race wheels. And this says extra firm on it, 110 millimeter, made in USA. All the TLTF wheels use this core. This wheel again is dual pour. This wheel, it's so awesome. It's so fast. I feel like it's the perfect dual pour wheels are the perfect wheel for people over the age of 45 because it just gives you like a little extra shock absorption from that inner band. And so like every time when you jump and you land, it's just like this nice, like, but yeah, you can't get these anymore. Rollerblade has switched manufacturers to MPC, but these are amazing. TLTF still makes wheels, but I think they make them in small batches primarily for the race market.
Yeah.
Artisanal. Sounds nice.
But yeah, okay, Billy, I know you probably have thoughts on this. So the dual pour wheels, they're fast. They grip like crazy. They're great for distance skating, trail skates. They suck for sliding.
Because they grip, because they deflect and they grab.
Yeah, they have high
trying to
rebound
grab the
and
ground.
massive grip. Yeah, like I've gotten bounced. I tried to like power
Or
slide
like
at a.
skip,
Yeah,
like
they'll, like,
scooting.
Yeah, they don't go.
Huh.
They go. They kind of skip.
Well, because they're rebounding, basically,
They're
right?
rebounding.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, the swivels on these were incredible.
yeah,
And it must be when we're talking about like deflection and rebound, it's probably because the rocker was increasing when I was applying pressure to half the wheels and the others were lifting up. And so they were able to glide without
yeah.
like digging in. But then I switched to the 110 endless frames that have the same core. So I'm thinking about the balance of stiffness and compliance, or stiffness and deflection, let's even say. Stiff core, very deflectable urethane, right? Or sort of like compound up top here. So that works out because the core is doing a really good job holding steady, and then the wheel's doing the grip job. Let's just go with me on that. Then on some of the other wheels, you've got a different balance of stiff core, or like a less stiff core, but like maybe stiffer urethane or whatever it is. But something about the 110 endless frame, the core felt really stiff, the urethane felt really stiff, and it was just like, oh, like, like I was like, my eyes were buzzing a little bit in my skull. So I don't know what it was.
Did you skate them after you had skated those?
I think I was spoiled. I
You
think
were-
that's really what
You
it
were
was.
spoiled.
Because
I
it probably
felt-
felt just like a normal, like, right? Like I want stiff, don't I? So I
Well,
was like, what am I complaining about here? I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
I feel like this core flexes a little because of the way it's designed.
Well,
I
it
don't
makes
find
sense.
it-
It's radial. You know, it's not crossed or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's overly stiff or hard ride. It's 85A. I feel like these feel
Yeah.
good. So this brings me into this topic that we kind of touched. We were going to come back to, which is the color of urethane.
Yes.
So, okay, so natural urethane, people will say this is the most pure, like the best performance you're ever going to get is with the natural urethane, right?
So like the cloud wheels.
What the gods intended. Yeah.
Yeah, what the gods intended. But
Yeah.
they
These
just
cloud.
turn so grody. And then you've got white wheels, which are like, you know, pretty
Dyed,
pure.
right?
Yeah, they have some stuff added to just make them white. This is probably the best performance without, you know, being a gross colored urethane color.
Is it gross? I mean,
Well,
it's like an
some are.
eraser.
Well, you've been seeing this vintage MPC wheel.
All right, that one's a little dank.
Oh, let's just touch on this one, dude. So this is a 90 millimeter MPC Road War extra firm. It's got the same look. It's got the same fan blade, just a smaller
Oh,
version
yeah.
of it. I think
The canted kind of.
yeah. I got this probably in the mid 2000s, and this wheel's great. I don't think they make it. Although I think I actually have seen it in some South American markets. But yeah, they don't sell this in the US anymore. So black wheels. What I've noticed is, let me get, where's the Street Invader I had? Here's
Or,
this
yeah. What's the
undercover.
barometer on that endless wheel?
So I'm going to find two wheels that I know are identical. I've got a black 90 and then I've got this blue 90. Okay. Actually, let me measure. I've got my new.
Oh yeah, you have a black and a white round.
Yeah. Let me do the 76s on the round, right? Black and white. These are supposed to be 85A. Let's see what this is.
Rollerblade industry secrets exposed.
Yeah, I know. So that's close.
86.5. Okay.
86.5. Let me just measure a couple points. Oops, let me get it on that.
I was gonna say that's 70 something.
86.
Sorry, there's a little glare.
Oh, 85,
Yeah.
right?
If you just like tilt it a little. But
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
You got it.
84.5.
Yeah, so it's basically about 85. Am I not getting
Yeah.
it? I'm not getting a good spot there. Yeah,
Has to be straight on tangential.
I'm not doing a
Cool.
good job
But
here.
that's that. Yeah, I saw like the average like 85, 86, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
84,
Yeah.
it's less.
83, 84.
Interesting.
A couple other spots maybe just to get the sampling.
84. I mean, it's also possible it's a, you know, there's some
guys.
imprecision.
Can I ask real quick? How long do we plan to do the stream tonight?
We only there's only a couple more wheels left in this thing, so we're probably on getting to wrapping up.
You want to keep
Okay.
it rolling or should we circle back?
Uh,
Sorry. Just making some really bad jokes over here. But yeah,
this
if you leave though, Brad and I will keep going for like 5 hours. So you,
yeah,
you owe
Actually,
it to
Billy,
the.
this is looking
Just
like
kidding.
it's looking about the same, I would say, when I do this in front of me.
Okay.
It's about, I feel like the black wheel wears differently and slides differently. I think Matthias told me he felt like white wheels were like 10% faster than black wheels. But I feel there's something special with the sliding performance of black wheels. And I think it's because of the way that the urethane sheds because of the additives for the color. It just makes it just makes the urethane kind of
Like striations almost, or like
peels off different. It's effectively like peeling off, right? It's like it's shedding. And so there's something about the black wheel that just has, it can feel a little harder when you ride it, but it's not actually faster because I don't know if I don't think the rebound, I think the rebound is slightly less because of the black additives, but that ends up making the wheel, because it's less rebound. I don't know if that makes it
more
stiffer.
pigment versus actual, like it being more pure urethane.
Yeah,
like there's
right.
more other stuff than
There's more other
urethane in the
stuff.
wheel.
More impurity.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it just, to me, it feels like the black wheels, they slide differently than, say, a white or a natural urethane.
Yeah, I feel like the black, particularly when you were having your wheels made by Undercover, and you first sent me those black endless Undercover wheels, those things, I had an experience where they were extremely grippy when I first tried them, and then when I started sliding on them, they slid so much easier than I expected them to, for how grippy they were in the beginning. And I've skated lots of different Undercovers. Most of them are white, or like the Team Blank and the 125 Undercovers that they made for a while, and those do not slide as easily as the black ones do.
Yeah, I'm very curious to skate my black hydrogens at some point and see if I feel differently about these than, because all the hydrogens are white, right?
Right. Yeah.
Here's
some of them, I guess, are different colors, but like I don't know how many of those are made in China or outside of the U.S.
Here's a Compass 100mm wheel. It's black. These are made by Gyro in Korea, I believe.
Core. I think that's the same core that the new Mushroom wheels have.
Yeah, Mushroom blading wheels are also made
BMW.
By yeah.
I have very little experience with those. I think Drew from City Blades sent me some Compass wheels years ago, but they were like 72mm or something. Like he wanted me to try this rocker.
I really noticed these like sliding more easily than I thought when I first tried them. Like, because I was expecting like, okay, 85A, they're gonna have a grip. Like, you know, I was kind of calibrating to a hydrogen, but they slid more easily than I was expecting, and I think it's because they're black.
I don't know. I guess this would be a good test of if the different color wheels. See, you can tell that I don't really factor that into the into the situation.
Well, I think when you get into like, you know, like what's the performance difference between blue and yellow? Like, I don't know if anybody's going to notice, but I do feel like between natural urethane and black, I feel like I can tell.
Yeah. I mean, that would be kind of the ends of the ends of the spectrum of the.
When I met Ricardo Lino, we talked about this, and he seemed to corroborate that the black urethane versus the natural urethane is quite a big difference. And actually, when he came, we got onto this subject because when he was here, because I'm in Dallas, he had gone to a wheel factory in Texas. I want to say it was the And factory.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like he took Fritz there, and that's when Fritz got his idea for cymatic wheels. So anyway, all that to say, Yeah, lots of. We discuss colors, and Lino seems to firmly believe that the color plays a big role in how the wheel behaves.
Yeah, I think it does. So tying this in with lino and color. So here's the oldest wheel in the collection. This is a Hyper wheel. It's a Hyper Plus G. It's
Yeah.
80 millimeter, 85A. I believe that, so this would have been from, in a future episode, I'm going to show the skates that these came off of. They came off of my second pair of rollerblades, which I dug out of a box in my garage when I was unpacking. And I was like, oh my God, I thought I threw these away. But they're rollerblades from, I think, the year 1999. And I would have put these wheels on when the original wheels died. So this probably was like 2001 or something like that. 2000, 2001. I believe that this was originally, Hyper was started by, I think, Neil Piper, who now has his own brand, Piper Wheels. He's also involved with, and I think he was involved with Hyper, and he designed this wheel. So Lino is always going on about the Hyper concrete G wheels. And so I don't know if it's the urethane formula has changed, but hey, Lino, I actually have skated a Hyper wheel. And so I remember this being good. And I believe that I think these were white. Look what color they are. They're like yellow now. I think when I got
Where are these made, Brad? Are these US made wheels?
I don't know that these are. I think these are an Asian made wheel, but
Interesting.
and they still are. But I think back then the people that were involved were the ones cooking up the chemistry.
Yeah.
Is my understanding.
Well, Hyper is a pretty old brand. They used to make some of the best roller skate wheels in the 90s.
Yeah, maybe they were made in the US back then. Maybe all the wheels back then were made in the US, and so there was no reason to put made in the USA on the wheels.
Yeah. They made a roller skate wheel with an aluminum core called the Hyper Cannibal, and it was like, I mean, it was cream of the crop back then. It was basically what we view MPC as.
Yeah, no, I remember this being a good, dude, Billy. I think this wheel's got a ton of life left on it.
Wow.
I need to skate this.
Dude.
I mean, it's worn. It just needs like a rotation, but I think
that's off those rollerblade E80s or whatever.
E80s, dude. This has got some sweet ABEC 5 bearings. Do you guys remember when you had to put in the special spacer that had the threads? Because it had, you basically had screws that threaded into the spacer to hold the wheel in the frame. Yeah, this is
the closest I've had is the K2 6mm spacers.
That's what this is. This is like that, fine. But it's like the axle doesn't go through. You thread into the axle, or you thread into the spacer. Yeah.
Can I shift us to a different wheel?
Yeah, please.
That I have. So I want to ask, have you tried these? Have either of you tried these?
Is that the same core?
I have not. I've tried these.
Undercover?
Say what?
Is that the same like undercover core? This kind of whorled type of deal? Is that an 80?
Yeah,
I believe it is. Yeah, this is an 80. Cymatics. This is 88. Cool. 88A. So
how do you like the 88?
So I'm torn, right? Here's what I'll say, because it's really good urethane, because these are great wheels. But because it's really good urethane, the 88 works. But man, when you hit a really rough surface, if you're skating a variable surface trail night or something, it can be a rough ride. And I ended up I just have to admit that I have some habits that carry over from ice figure skating that don't bode well with hard wheels, and I ended up creating some flat spots on a couple of wheels.
Oh, you showed me those. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, which I have to say, I've also done those with endless wheels, which are softer, and it's 100% me. It's 100% me.
A drag or a slide?
So habits from drags where you know, when you do a T stop on the ice, for example, you use the outside edge
Yeah, like
instead of
a
the inside.
mistrial. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so I can end up like T stopping without going deep enough, kind of with the wheel up like this instead of like this.
Oh,
And also,
yeah.
I can tend to force my way through my 3 turns because on the ice you have that like center point where there's no grip, and you can
Yeah.
use that as a rotational point, and you don't have that here. So I where I ended up with the flat spot is like, I don't know if you can, don't know if
Yeah,
you can see it. You
yeah,
probably can't see the flat spot itself,
I can
but
see it. Yeah.
I mean it's right here. And but other than that, I mean, it's like I said, that's my fault, but it only works as a hard wheel because the urethane is good. If the urethane was bad, I would say no, like
I'm gonna echo
absolutely
that.
not on an 88A.
hmm Basically, it's like got a good formula. It's like a good somehow.
Yeah.
It's interesting how I would think that the ratio of, and I'm just being naive here, rubber to plastic, I'll just call it, like for the sake of my knowledge, the more rubber, the softer it would be, the more kind of plastic, the harder it would be. But it feels like there's
Right.
ways of achieving a hard wheel that still has enough rubber in it. And I don't know enough
Yeah.
about the chemistry or the, I guess we'll call
Yeah.
it chemistry, but I feel the same way about the Wizard wheels, where it's a harder wheel, 86A, but it doesn't feel plasticky in the same way.
Right.
I don't know, is that what you experience? Like it doesn't feel plasticky?
Yeah, these definitely don't fit. Like when you squeeze it in your hand, it's really hard. There's a viable difference between 85A and this, but yeah, like you said, it doesn't feel plasticky, and it definitely doesn't skate plasticky. It skates like a grippy, high rebound wheel.
And you have a lot of you have a small core.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
there's probably some
Yeah.
aspect there where you've got, it's
Yeah.
kind of like how the Street Invader, where you're like, oh yeah, it's got a small core, but it's a soft durometer. So you harder durometer, smaller core seems to be the principle that the Wizard wheels are based on. And believe it or not, these are hundreds, but they don't look it, because
They
I've
look
been able
fat
to
tire
eat
to me.
up. Like, look at how much
Yeah.
I've worn, right?
Those
Like they're
look fat
touching.
tire.
They what?
They look fat tire. So those
Yeah,
are the
they
same.
look like a fat bike for sure, and they're
Okay. Yeah.
almost
So
vertical walls, but they are bullet when they're new. So they
Yeah,
they
these are-
kind of have almost a round
Here we go.
profile, or like
so
a
Billy,
vertical.
hold
Yeah.
up those cores. Same core. This is the FR. This
Yeah,
is
with
the
a little
FR
extra.
Urban. Yeah, this is the
holes.
FR Urban Speed. So it's the same wheel, Bravo Asia.
And you can see through. There's like a hole above each spoke as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And this is and so that's what I was mentioning earlier. This is it specs it on the wheel here. Let's see if I can show it. 100 millimeter. And then there's a center measurement that's the core size, and then the durometer. So it says 100 millimeter, 52 millimeter, 86A.
Where are those made, Billy?
They do not say. They're
That's what.
If they're FR,
Yeah, it's
probably in Asia then.
It's the Bravo
Oh.
factory. That's
Yeah.
what I think is where they're made.
Well,
Again,
I mean, they're
somebody
from
can
Canada,
correct me
so-
if I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, I would be curious to know, because my initial opinion was, damn, these are heavy wheels. Like, damn. Like, it's a lot of stuff on your feet. But small core, a lot of urethane, they're pretty forgiving. But then the hard wheel has a really amazing slide characteristic. So it's like this kind of interesting blend. I mean, it feels more like a venture into like what's possible, which is actually like, I think, a Leon quote, like, but yeah, but that's what I find interesting is definitely not a wheel that I would use for like an all-purpose situation, because it's just it's like my muscles. It's a training wheel, let's say, because then when I switch to a bigger core, it's like, oh, I can lift my feet off the ground super easily. But yeah, the slide, and that's probably a big part of what they were going for, was like you can do like some pretty unique slides and stuff. So I assume that's kind of why you got those cymatics.
Yeah.
For the hardness.
Well, so actually these segue into where they're made and all that. The owner of the local skate shop here in the Dallas area in Plano, Texas, his name's Fritz Peitzner, and he's 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 not retired. He's I always want to call him retired because we're the same age. But he's not retired. He still competes, and he does like local aggressive skating stuff. Like there's a big competition that comes around once every year. Anyway, so all that to say, he's still really involved in the industry, and this is his brainchild. It's one of the brands that he owns and sells in his shop. So these are made in Texas.
Does Nils Janssen? No, he made a different. It's an aggressive skater company. I thought it was Cymatics as well, but
I know
anyway,
that More Than Fritz is in on Cymatics. There's Jordan Glowicki, I think, but he's with Blading Camp.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know if anybody else is like co-owner of Cymatics.
Oh, I see. Oh, I have heard of this because there is a pro aggressive skater that has a brand called Magic Boots.
Okay.
And he has a pro wheel that he made for himself, I guess, and it says Cymatics on it. So Cymatics is making this wheel for him. So okay, makes sense. He's kind of becoming
Probably,
like the not the wholesaler, but like the main brand when there's like kind of partnerships and collabs.
Yeah,
and
gotcha. Yeah.
Here's another dual pour wheel that we forgot to mention.
Matter.
You guys ever try this one?
No, but I want to eat like dinner off of it. It looks amazing.
Matter G13. Yeah, this is 86A. They call it their F1 formula. Says track road marathon.
Matter. That's a power slide wheel, right?
Yeah, these are made in the USA. They're dual pour. I don't know what's going on with the inside, but I feel like compared to the MPC or the TLTF, I enjoyed this wheel more and the Black Magic more. It might be because it's 86A. They were fine. I got the feeling that the inner band was a little harder than whatever's in the MPC. But
of the dual, the inner, okay.
Yeah, but I think I have the other hardness of this too. I haven't skated, but someone was mentioning these in the comments, and I forgot to pull it out.
David, does that Cymatics? I noticed this other one also has the marble effect. Is there any story behind that? Do you know? Because I haven't seen. I have skateboard wheels that have like multicolor marbling, and I was like, it's just cool. But is it just cool factor?
I think it's just aesthetic. I don't remember. I can't quote Fritz on why he chose this because I don't remember exactly what he said. But I have a review of these wheels on my channel you can go watch, and I've got some footage of Fritz talking about them in his shop, and I'm pretty sure he touches on the marbling at one point and is talking about how like
it looks cool.
Nobody's really doing this, and it was probably an extra charge. Like I'm pretty sure he said that he paid more just to have this effect because it looks so good. So
okay, couple things. We did talk about how different colors of urethane behave differently, so there could be some negative effects if you had a bunch of like pigment of like black pigment in one section of the wheel, like it didn't mix fully. That could be interesting, and it may be like would sheaf off like in different ways because of the coloration could achieve like different textures. But also, it's the only wheel I've seen that's printed on both sides.
Yeah. It's more expensive.
I was like, what?
It's just more expensive to do the
Blade will always post pictures of skates with that side showing because it's so cool looking.
Yeah. But I mean, this is normally what you would see, right? It's just the branding and the information about the wheel, but this is
all out.
I mean,
But okay, cool. Yeah. But it's working good. I mean, it stands out, right? It becomes elevated as like not only is it printed on both sides, it's like this marbled urethane. The aggressive wheel also had the marbling, but it was like a purple and black. But I've had Street Invaders where like parts of the wheel, like it was like poured wrong and there was like layers to it. And I would wonder if they're,
Mm.
you know, how much they obviously they tested it and stuff. Like,
QC
Like it just
issues.
wasn't
what
like
that
it wasn't
sounds
mixed. Like it wasn't.
yeah,
mixed.
right. If it like
Yeah.
it was too much of like pigment right there and it like,
Yeah.
you know, it wore to that point and you start to see like an edge kind of form or something, but
I've
probably
had,
not. I don't know.
I mean, I've had funky stuff like that. I had you know, we talked about the Lebeda shooter earlier, and that is you'll usually just find those in green, and it's consistent all the way through. The only problem wheel I ever had, I had one wheel that like a chunk just blew out the side of it while I was skating, and
Up the
it
side
was what I realized is that when it was poured, there was some separation on the inside, but the urethane over the top covered that.
Yeah, it had a
And
void.
Yeah.
and
Crazy.
when I mean, and there wasn't like any empty space. It was almost, I know they didn't do this, but just to explain what it was like that chunk was made separately and they stuck them together and then sealed it with urethane.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Or like they poured it and it cooled and they poured the rest of it in or something, right? Like that's the way I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of be layered like that. But yeah.
I got one more wheel that we should talk about before we wrap this up.
Okay.
This is the flashiest wheel that I own. Everybody knows what this is.
Oh my God.
There were some questions about what's the best version of
Luminous.
this. Yeah.
Luminous wheels.
Luminous.
I mean, how can you not like these things? The fun factor,
Well.
the fun factor is like really high. Yes, they're not the fastest wheels. They got a round profile. They're going to be a little slower, but I feel like at night that's kind of good for safety. But yeah, they come in so many colors now. I feel like the urethane's like, it's okay. You can.
It's okay. It's a kind of Street Invader kind of vibes.
Yeah,
to me.
I feel like it's probably
also-
the same urethane as Street
Other
Invaders.
side one.
Yeah, how do you like those?
Awful.
Okay.
These are awful. Powerslide discontinued these, and I got 3 sets of them from Pro Skater's Place for like $50. Like
Yeah.
three sets of 8 for like $50.
And now you're wishing you hadn't done that.
I couldn't pass them up. I mean, okay, here's what I'll say about them is that, first of all, the spacers that came with these, because you know, with light up wheels, you get like those flint spacers.
A magnetic
Symbol
spacer.
magnet, but they're plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone needs to
Bad-
make an
bad
aluminum
tolerance.
magnetic spacer.
Bad tolerance. Actually, Brad, I think this was years ago when I got these, but I think I called you the night that I was putting them together, and I was so mad because I couldn't get all of the axles through the spacers because the tolerances and the spacers were so horrible.
Yeah.
And so
off center.
yeah, so like no, the hole in the spacer was not
Oh.
large enough to accept an 8mm axle, and only
Ooh.
4 out of each set of 8 were actually able to get the axles through. So what I ended up doing is just throwing away those spacers, and I put some Sonic satellite spacers in them and skated them without the light up. And the wheels, they were grippy. They're like 82A, but I destroyed them so fast.
Yeah.
They
These
didn't last.
I find like these wear fast, and I've skated these without the magnetic spacer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want them to actually like roll.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Like if you want to skate these in the daytime and not be, they are kind of slower with the magnetic spacer, but yeah, they're fine. They kind of skate like a Street Invader, but the core is different. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, why don't they? Are they filled in because there's some electric stuff going on in there? Like they're like a solid core.
Yeah, it's probably the LEDs are mounted to the core.
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
special-
yeah. And then they pour everything around that.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
So
And they'd have to chase a little wire through the spoke of a hub core.
I don't know if
That
you
doesn't
can
make sense.
see you can.
Oh, that has holes, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
can you
cool.
see-
Okay.
you
So
see-
maybe
I
not all
can
of
see
them.
the inside.
Yeah, that's
I don't know if you can
But
see
how
it.
many of those?
My light isn't really helping.
I could kind of see some light through the core.
Yeah.
Like not the light ups,
But I
the-
can
Brad,
see.
don't
I-
you sell luminous wheels?
Yeah,
Didn't
we
you?
sell. Yeah, we sell
Okay,
luminous.
okay.
I mean, yeah, they're
Yeah,
crowd, you know.
they're fun.
I'm going to the rink, I'm gonna luminous.
Sure,
it.
yeah.
So I skate luminous wheels at night. So
How many of the magnetic bearing spacers have you destroyed? Because for me, it's
like
dozens.
20% of them.
Yeah, right. And you're like, oh, these really aren't spinning so good. And you take them apart and just like magnets spill onto the ground. Okay,
No, the
well,
first person that makes a aluminum magnetic spacer will do
but
quite
the
well.
magnet disintegrates and the plastic disintegrates. So I guess it's kind of maybe
the
if the metal
magnet's for-
spacer.
It's a ceramic magnet that's cast onto the as part of
Oh, so it's all just doomed
It's all
from the
poured.
start.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all poured. So like anything else would be vastly more expensive, but it would be so much better performing.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Well, you
how
could
much
just
the
make
market is.
aftermarket
Yeah.
magnetic spacers. Yeah, would be the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, because they don't have it's not the fin or the UFO shape, right, of that saucer. It's just big. It just fills in that whole space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
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 But yeah,
Different dimensions. So
metal core, light up, brown / natural latex, marbled, dual pour
there you go.
wheels. That's what we've come up with during this 2 hours and 11 minutes. I'm pretty sure that that's the like synthesis of all the
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I want to recap and get everyone's thoughts on favorite wheel of all time, wheel that you'd recommend to a friend that didn't have a lot of money, and wheel that you absolutely just will never ride again.
Man, I thought that was going to be hard, but it was actually really easy to come up with all three of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
like each of us came up with that answer throughout the course of this podcast.
Okay, Billy, go.
You want to? Oh, okay, I could go. Favorite wheel I've tried would be the Cloud wheels. That's why
Made
I'm
by-
running them, despite them being so small.
Made by
Endless
Endless.
Cloud wheels.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
There's
one.
no other wheel I've had that gets the little like fluff along the edges when you skate them, which to me,
Those are natural urethane, but we now make them in pink and neon yellow. And
okay. I'm
White?
and
Yeah,
84s
white.
also.
no, only 76 is 68 right
I
now.
got to run regular endless. And I said that also because I prefer bullet wheels in a swiveling situation.
Okay.
Worst wheel I've skated, 90A, I think these are. And no, I don't even know. They're just,
They come
What is
from
that one again, Billy?
this is the Brain Dead wheel. It comes on the Them 80
yeah.
like collab.
Okay.
And I inherited some on some UFS 80 frames from that were, you know, the endless UFS 80s. I gave him a shot, and I was just like, oh man, it's like a hard plastic wheel, just bad. And then my recommendation for everybody would be hydrogens, because they're light, fast, all purpose. Yeah, that's me.
But if you
What about
got
David?
if you got like $5 more in your budget, you could get the Endless.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
If you have the right size and everything. And I do like the color of the endless wheels, obviously, like a lot more. I don't like things that are boring monochromatic stuff, I guess. So so that would be the benefit there. That's why I like these hydrogens, but these were like
Expensive.
3 or 4x the price. But yeah, that's me. David, how about you? What's your trifecta?
So I'll start with wheel that I would recommend to a friend who is on a budget. That's definitely going to be the Lebeda Shooter for reasons that we covered. It's one of the grippiest wheels ever. Yeah, the
But it only
urethane.
comes in small sizes.
That's true, but I mean, we could go in depth on that, but that I tend to skate 80 millimeter, you
Yeah.
know, so there are specialized occasions where, you know, like if I do a half marathon skate with the city skate group around town, and I'll wear like 110. But for the most part, if I'm gonna go out and inline on my own, I'm gonna be on 4x80. And so that's what I would say is the Lebeda shooter is a great wheel because it has so much grip to it and it's cheap. So you can't go wrong. And then wheel that I will never ride again that I hate is that Atom Matrix wheel.
Okay.
That is it. There's no grip. It's like 84A or something, but except it's not. It skates like a 90A wheel. It's a rough
Skates like a
ride.
Mattel toy.
Say what?
It skates like a Mattel toy.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible. And I got them because they were affordable, but the shooter is cheaper
It's cheap.
by far. And it's way better. And it honestly, the price difference is probably not much different from the hydrogen. So like you said, the hydrogen is really the worst wheel that you should be skating because it costs really around the same price point as wheels that are crappy, but it's good.
Yeah, I think Rollerblade strategically priced them low as kind of a loss leader to basically capture the wheel market.
And that makes sense. That makes sense because they have a bunch of variations of them and they're kind of a household name.
Yeah.
For urban skaters anyway. And then my favorite wheels, man, I'm gonna say I have a tie.
Okay.
And so on one end, I feel the same way Billy does about the cloud wheels. I think especially the profile, the bullet profile that you've gone with, and I've you sent me some pink ones too, and I feel generally the same about them, that it's a very edgy experience, and to me the perfect edgy skate can only be achieved by a pair of Ice Dance blades. And so I'm always looking to emulate that, and I think your cloud wheels and your bullet profile wheels are the closest that I've come to that.
Yeah.
And then on the other side is like probably for like more urban skating and less dancey, edgy figure skate kind of stuff. I'm going to say the junk wheels, the Voodoo Junk, are the rebound in them is just really great. And they grip incredibly for how much rebound they have.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to start with the wheels I'll never skate again.
Yeah.
And that's these. Again, it might have just been this size, but
what is that again, Brad?
That's the Icon.
Yeah, Icon.
Okay.
Icon Access. These are 76. I had 68s as well. I like them less. I like them much less than Street Invaders.
That's kind of sad too, because isn't Icon supposed to be like luxury, high-end power slide?
This might be their more affordable offering, and their
be.
high-end one is the Eco one.
The Eco is more expensive. Yeah,
but I've heard good things about Eco. So I will never skate those.
It's like higher end, but I would also call Icon more like techie gadget kind of.
Yeah.
But that's true.
Yeah.
So my favorite wheel, and this might be a combination of performance and looks. Like, I just love this neon yellow hub.
Is that the Hydrogen Pro?
Yeah, there's the TLTF port Hydrogen Pro, 110 millimeter dual pour. I just love this thing. It's great for when I go on my distance skates, and I've had it. Nicholas one gifted these to me, and I've just loved them. But you can't get them. you can't get these.
Yeah.
I would say, okay. And then for the wheel that I would recommend to people, the whole reason we made endless wheels and priced them the way we did is like, so Undercover makes a really great wheel, but they're kind of expensive, when you compare them to a hydrogen. And I just felt like, why can't people get a wheel that has that performance, but is priced for the people? So really that's what the endless blading wheels are all about. They're that premium level of performance, but like just a hair more expensive than Street Invaders and hydrogens, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can pony up $75 for some hydrogens, like maybe you can spend the extra 10 or 15 bucks and get some endless wheels that are really amazing. And then the honorable mention would be if you're on a budget and you just can't spend, I don't even, like, someone look up what's a 4-pack of endless 90 wheels go for. Is it $54? 40? No, actually no. They're 11 bucks each. They're 44 bucks.
Okay.
I think they're $44 for a 4-pack, right?
Okay.
You can't spend the $44 and you can only spend the $38 or whatever it is, then get the hydrogen.
Yeah, 48.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So to get a set of 8 is literally less than a $10 difference.
It might be somewhere between 10 and 15 bucks. And like, I personally can afford to spend that extra money, but I can appreciate that there's some people out there like
Yeah.
that might be the difference between they're skating or they're not skating, right?
Yeah.
So I would rather you skate than not skate at all. And
Sure.
like in the US, like I think endless in Europe might be the better deal. I think endless is less expensive than hydrogen. So all you Europeans, skate endless wheels, like they're priced super affordably.
On your site, the 84 hydrogens are 35 and the endless 84 or 44. So they're about, $9 difference across
$9.
4 and then 18 across 8. So
Yeah.
is what it is. And that's 84. That was just like random size. But
Yep.
but yeah, anyway, yeah, obviously a difference. But
Yeah, but I
colors.
in my opinion, the endless wheel is a far better wheel.
yeah, we talked about the hydrogen kind of
Yeah.
as it wears out, I don't know the word, we didn't use like degrade, but like
It changes.
its dynamics change a little bit. And I don't
exactly.
think I did that with the endless wheels. Yeah, like and let me just show, this was 84. So I skate them to the ground and yeah. And I haven't felt that kind of like glossiness that starts to form or whatever. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
This looks like 100 times cooler.
Come
too.
on, look at this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right? Like the 90s are alive.
I'm missing 2 colors from the whole 90s theme. We're missing the green and the
purple
orange.
Okay, I was gonna say purple. All right. Well, you're missing 3 colors or 4 colors.
I think of that jumpsuit that's like green, purple, turquoise.
I had a ski jacket these colors.
That's a really good color combo.
1992, man. I think we should, before we wrap it up, just quickly maybe answer some questions. A bunch of people have got some, so maybe you guys.
Yeah,
can
would love to. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have some on Instagram? Because I've tried to keep us up to speed with the YouTube live stream comments, and I'm talking in there.
Yeah.
You could highlight Dan's comment about me having great hair. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just looking for other comments. Yeah, what do you have from Instagram?
Instagram, Funky Monkey 818 asks any tips to save old skate wheels from getting brittle. I think if your wheels are getting brittle, it's just time for new wheels. You probably
I mean, store them in a
indoors.
Yeah, store them in a closet that's not exceptionally dry, and I think that's a non-issue, honestly. Just, they're gonna be old.
UV and oh, there's a really good question on the YouTube one. The most recent one from Emmanuel. He asked it like the very beginning and now at the end as well.
What's up?
Okay.
Why didn't you make an 80 mil round?
I would love to make an 80 millimeter round wheel. The reason why I went with 84 and 76 is because to me the 84-76 setup is like the default setup for the arc frame.
Agreed.
We had to get new profile molds made because, as I explained earlier in the episode, they just didn't exist. Like there's no US. My manufacturer that's in the US does not have a true round profile. And so for me to get 80s made, I'm going to have to make another profile mold, which is, it's some money. It's an investment. Like I probably let me put it this way. It might take years to recoup the investment. So
Yeah.
if you
As an
guys want to,
alternate
I mean,
option
we could
on a
start a
frame.
GoFundMe and everyone can pitch in like $20 and we can see where we wind up. But I would love to do it. It's just going to take
you
some
don't
time.
even. There's no other frame it would go on because your Endless 80 is actually an Endless 84. So
Right.
around, so that would be.
But
kind
this
of a
would be
cool-
great for all the 5x80 frames out there, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody that's got a PR80 would love to skate this wheel, but they can't because I only have it in 76. Actually, you can skate this on your PR80 frame. You're
Yeah.
just missing a few millimeters. So it'll just look like Billy's setup.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
What other questions do you have from the Insta?
How do you determine which core will be the best fit for each wheel? I assume this is from Roadside Picnic. I assume this is a development question. So, okay, I'll like divulge some sausage making secrets. I stated earlier that a lot of these OEM manufacturers only offer up like 2, maybe 3 different formulas. So like as a skate brand, if I go to the manufacturer and I say, I want to make a wheel, they say, okay, great. What type of wheel do you want? And then you might have a discussion talking about, oh, I want it to slide and I want it to be fast. And then they go, okay, choose option A or choose option B, right? And so maybe they have their own in-house brand where they're keeping their special formula just for their own products. But for, what they offer up to, Joe's skate company might be different. So it's the same with cores. Like you have a limited selection of cores where the OEM manufacturer might say, okay, like the 84 millimeter is a good example where here's a prototype. We had this option for a core, and then we had this option for a core. And Billy tested them, and we ended up choosing the one that we thought looked the best next to the 76 millimeter wheel in an arc frame and felt the best.
Yeah.
So in the case of like our MPC wheels, there was no option for core other than this one. This is the core that MPC makes,
But you did go with a smaller core on the 84
this
than you
is
do
bigger.
with your Endless
This is
on the Bullet wheel, right? The round wheel has a different core than the Bullet wheel.
Yeah, the round core is slightly smaller because I wanted the round profile wheels to feel a little more plush. So it would feel better for doing like those toe and heel presses.
What all the kids are doing these days.
What all the kids are doing, yeah.
But to be fair, though, to dive into that question just quickly, when we compared the two different types of same-sized cores,
yep,
it was not really possible to discern a difference in terms of performance. I thought maybe this core felt a little less lively, but then in retrospect, they kind of felt the same. And then the one, this just didn't look this looks a little funky. But yeah, no, I do think that's interesting that for different applications. And so that's kind of what we alluded to with like how the Wizard wheels use a smaller core with more urethane. These round wheels have more urethane, smaller core. Speed is not the goal as much as like feel, like road feel. Yeah.
And there's some, the manufacturers, they might have designed this core originally for a 72. Where did I put my, they might have designed it originally for a 72 and then they realized, oh, it'll work on a 76 and it'll work on an 80 and it'll work on 84.
The 84. Yeah.
But they have to make a mold specifically with this core in mind. So the mold is not just a profile, but it's also the manufacturing process with the core. So sometimes there could be a core that they have a profile, but it doesn't match up with a specific core they have. So it was like when I wanted to make, this size wheel with a round profile, it was like, okay, these are the options for cores that are going to work. So anyway, that was kind of a long-winded answer, but
I've got a comment here. This one's also from Emmanuel. You might have to scroll up a little bit. It says, what do you guys think about wheels with aluminum cores?
You can't click on it. Oh, do I need to give like somebody admin access or something? Let me just see if I can give you
It
guys
says
that.
I can only report it and block it, and I don't want to do that. So
Yeah. Anyway, I probably would have to add you as like admins or something somehow. Where's the?
so it's up just a little ways.
I had made a comment about wish I had an opinion on metal cores, but I don't have an opinion on them. So
What
All right. So what's the question? Maybe you can just read it again, David.
what do you guys think about wheels with aluminum cores?
Oh, here you go. I've never skated them, but I hear they're very stiff.
I love aluminum cores. You're right. They are stiff. In the roller skating world, aluminum core is the standard.
Hmm.
So if it is a high end wheel in roller skating, it has an aluminum core. And I I've skated aluminum cores my whole life in roller skates, and I would be interested to try inline, but I can't think of any point that I've skated inline aluminum cores. I know that I think Bont makes some, and
famous. I'm thinking of there's aggressive
yeah, I
wheels
can't.
with aluminum cores, but
I've seen
there's a
some.
few. Yeah.
What one thing I will say is, if you intend to get aluminum cores, you better have a bearing press. You will not be changing your bearings without them.
FR has some.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of.
I would like to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to try them at some point. But yeah, I think they're probably a non-starter for some people just for cost reasons.
Yeah, they're
The FR ones look
expensive,
cool. It's a
and
raw.
especially if you're going to skate them outside and wear away the urethane and have to buy more it pretty frequently, that could get real expensive.
Yeah.
I've never tried aluminum core wheels, but I do have an idea about them that in theory, in my head, aluminum cores could potentially be reusable. And that maybe reskinned or something like this, and there'd be a more sustainable version of wheels where is this a thing in roller skating or in any world?
So I don't know if you hang on. I don't know if you guys can see.
Oh yeah, that little C clip.
Okay, yeah. So this is a clip, and you can take a tool and pull this clip off, and the urethane will slide right off of. I mean, it's hard to get it off. It's not going to just slip right off, but
sure, because otherwise they'd spin
yeah,
separate.
It'll come right off of these fan jet hubs. And so if they were to do that with inlines, it would be great. But the problem I would think is, I know a few quad roller skaters that put down a lot of power when they skate, and they have popped the clips off and pulled the wheel off in mid skate, so it can be problematic.
I figured it'd be a re-pour situation, and you'd be like, all right, this time I want to re-pour them as bullet profile. This time I want to re-pour them as 90, and next time 100. Like, it's a very different model. We're very in like a disposable world of skate wheels.
These wheels, you won't get these wheels for less than $350 US if you're lucky, and they'll last you for 20 years if you take care of them. So completely different.
Replacing urethane, every so often.
No, I mean, if you take care of these wheels, you will have the same set of urethane for 2 decades.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right,
different forces, but okay, totally.
We'll try to get through some questions here. Undercover Raws, Caleb was asking about. I have not tried these, but people should know. I don't. Is that an Undercover Raw?
Undercover Team Blank? Is that
no? Team Blanks are made in USA. The Raws are not made in USA.
Okay. So no.
Don't be confused. If it's everyone knows, like, or a lot of people know, like, Undercover is a good brand, but the urethane that everybody likes is the made in the USA urethane. The Raw, my understanding is it's poured in Asia. It's not the same. It may not. I've not skated it, so I can't say if it's good or bad, but all I can say is it's not the same as what everybody, has grown to love, this urethane.
Yeah.
So There was a couple questions back from the Instagram asking about would do hard round profiles slide better? I'm guessing does it slide better than a bullet?
Hey guys, before you get into that, I apologize, but I'm gonna have to take off.
Okay, we're gonna probably wrap it up
Okay.
here in a second.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay. So I just wanted to say thanks for having me. And
Yeah, thanks for sitting in. We'll see you next time.
it's been fun. I'll see you guys the next time I lace up.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too, Billy.
nice to meet you, David. It was great chatting.
Y'all have a good one.
All
Take
right.
care.
All right. So yeah, maybe we'll just hit a couple questions, then we'll call it. But
Yeah, let's see if we
yeah,
have anything to
you
share.
have thoughts on rounds sliding better than bullets or vice versa?
Man, I just really started getting into sliding because forever, like as you know, I go through wheels really fast, just
Yeah.
not sliding, but swiveling. I don't know. I feel like round wheels wouldn't be as predictable on a slide because the contact is smaller when you're on the edge, and bullet
it's
profile
also-
has a more like.
Yeah.
And I know there's like more grip on a bullet wheel when you're on the side, but I feel like that would mean it's more controllable and so better at slides. What does that really mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't know, because I've never had I guess if I skated a lot of 4x80, where you kind of get a more apples to apples, like I'm always going from like hundreds or 90s
big.
on bullet to
Yeah.
like maybe 76s that are round, and it's just a totally
Mhm.
different experience. So, but
yeah, it's
I
hard to like the
yeah.
same size wheel, round and bullet. The other thing is like on smaller wheel sizes, I boot out. Like I hit my boot
Yeah, right.
ground when I start sliding. I noticed that when I switched to the UFS 80s. When I was on the hundreds, these Wizard wheels, I mean, you can kind of see like they were bullet, but they're not anymore. And they slide just as well now. Maybe they do slide a little better now. So yeah, I guess I might say round because it's less contact when you're in a sliding position, which
Yeah.
is on edge. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's a little less sensitive to the angle of attack. I don't know.
yeah, like you can. Yeah, but there's something kind of nice on a bullet wheel, like it's going to change behavior.
Yeah, you get to that point. Yeah,
Like,
I
all right,
know.
we're sliding now. Versus round, you're like, when is it gonna? And then it goes. So
Someone asked if harder wheels are faster. Yes, in general, harder wheel will be faster, but will be a harsher, less smooth ride experience.
Yeah, this is a long debate in road cycling because historically you'd use 120 psi, narrow tire, less than an inch, and that was deemed as fastest in like a fairly controlled environment. But speed also can be affected by your comfort, or rather speed over distance, right?
Yeah.
Because like instantaneous speed, sure, you can get them going faster, but can you go fast for 100 miles or can you go fast for 30 miles on skates? You're going to need comfort. You're going to need to not fatigue. And so
Right.
Can I maintain more speed on a softer wheel over a distance? Yeah, because my body doesn't hurt. So it's like a interesting thing. In bikes, they went with a slightly larger tire with lower pressure because it actually is a more of a straight line across the ground versus, kind of being susceptible to every little bump. So I prefer softer wheels for that reason because grip.
I prefer 85A just as like a nice balance between speed and kind of ride smoothness and grip.
Mm-hmm.
But but depending on the application, it's like there's so many factors as we've been talking about, hardness and profile and the core size relative to the amount of urethane.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these things can, change.
It's like a big matrix. And they're, this question is like speed. And it's like, well, we don't know the surface. We don't know, et cetera, et cetera. So to David's point, people on the track where the track is essentially
fixed.
Sticky.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you said, it's covered in urethane, right? It's sealed or something. You go for the hardest possible wheel because the grip is actually offered by the track, not the wheel. So, I mean, endless products are for like
everywhere,
multi-purpose, like urban skating and not really the track, I would say.
Yeah.
So then, I don't like a hard wheel for that because you can't sustain it. And I think that's the right word for it. So,
Oh, this guy was saying that he heard that all UC
Oh.
wheels now are made in China. I don't know about that, but yeah. Let's see. Did you see anything else? Any other questions that we needed to answer? I was trying to look in the Instagram one.
Let's see here.
Somebody said, F, I should have been taking notes. Don't worry. I will attempt to timestamp this. It's going to be hard though. We were all over the place, but I'll try and hit like the big topics and timestamps.
Yeah, and sometimes YouTube does that for you. I've noticed on some of my videos it automatically kind of gives it sections, but maybe I've structured my monologues in such a way that it could derive it. Some people asked about putting air tubes in a wheel.
Don't do it. Those suck.
I've never had a good time on the SUV skates, no matter how much pressure. There was an interesting idea because they essentially anti-rocker when they deflect, right? Like, because they're always gripping the ground. I was watching Ricardo's video about the 150 millimeter urethane wheel that you can swap into an SUV frame.
Oh, interesting.
We didn't discuss this, but it's wider because but they're essentially like little cart tires and wheels, so they just have whatever spec they have. But because it's wider, at the hub, it's also wider up at the rolling surface, and it looks super heavy. But his idea was to put a urethane wheel in the middle and pneumatic air tires on the outside. And in theory, you would actually have a rocker in that situation.
Okay. Interesting.
But you'd be riding on urethane on dirt for the most part. That's what you'd feel. So anyway, so air tires.
Is rolling on different colored wheels a bad idea? No.
Yeah.
Just Billy's got crazy wheels.
Yeah, I had actually like a full rainbow coloration, and the only thing we talked about was there's a subtle difference between like the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But like within the colors, I think it'd be indiscernible. We talked about cores, aluminum cores.
Someone wishes they could get, I think he means charges. I don't know. They're not so, hopefully it's not so crazy. It depends where you are though, right? It's,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know how that.
But if you had reach out to us if you're if you're outside of the US and you're looking to get endless wheels and your local shop doesn't have them, send us an email and let us know who that shop is, or contact that shop and ask them to become an endless dealer and carry our wheels.
There you go.
Let's see. Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff.
It's hard to scroll through all of these, to be honest. Yeah, there were definitely some questions about metal core wheels. Metal core.
Daniel,
I feel like some of us should try to skate them.
His brown wheel campaign. It's just not going to happen, dude.
Well, I thought of that as dark brown, and I was like, that's not that appealing. But a natural kind of like lighter brown, like you mentioned, like a terracotta. I was like, that's kind of like that raw urethane taupe. I don't know, so in bikes, like they're almost. I mean, tires are black, right?
Yeah.
Like for the most part, but there's a gum wall style tire that's like a really cool, kind of look, and that's what the original tires were because they're making them, gum. So that would be the color in my mind. Would be like kind of that. I don't know if tan's not the right word, but yeah, that gum wall. Some people call them skin wall. I don't think that's the right term for it, but yeah, that'd be cool. Actually, like a white wall would be kind of sweet, like an old like lowrider.
Yeah.
So, now we're talking.
Yeah. So any decent LED wheels, I think we covered. The Luminous are great. The micro wheels, I know Lino really likes or has.
Oh, they have light ups.
Yeah. So Rollerblade makes some now. I haven't tried those, but
probably the best option realistically would be the wheels where there's a light in like a separate light assembly that plugs into the core.
Yeah, Power Slide has those. Yeah.
Yeah, then it's unaffecting. It's not affecting the, kind of the overall situation, right? It has its own battery.
Let's see.
Well, if we can't find anything fresh, I think we did keep up with most of these chats.
Yeah, I think we did an okay job. There was a bunch of yeah, there's a lot of commentary. Yeah, I think we covered a ton of crap.
Whew.
Yeah, good job.
We did it 3 hours
did.
later. But
We
yeah, I
did.
mean, wheels are like the lifeblood of this sport, right?
It's
Obviously,
the
like
thing.
you started with frames, right? But
It's
it became
mostly,
pretty clear.
I
that you-
feel like the wheels are a big portion of the skating experience. Like, assuming you've got a boot that fits you, like if you had a limited amount of money and the choice was between frame or wheels, I might tell people to get some nice wheels, like get some really nice wheels, see
Mhm.
what you're missing out on. Like, buy some wheels like this or the Hydrogen Pros.
Yeah, get spoiled,
Get spoiled.
right? It really, yeah. Because I mean, frames are aluminum for the most part and supposed to be as stiff as possible. And right, like if they're not stiff, that's a bummer. But
It does
otherwise, they're
change the
probably within a
skating.
tolerance.
Yeah, it
you
does change the skating experience, but I
Yeah.
feel like the difference from going between, say, one 4x90 flat frame to another
Thank you.
4x90
Yeah.
flat frame with the same wheelbase is not as big as going from, this wheel that came with your skate to something like this wheel.
Yeah.
you know?
There's a reason we're so impassioned about it, right? Like you're saying, if you use the same wheel on different frames, like would we really have the same? Like we all knew it immediately, like I would never skate those wheels again. If I could only buy one, it would be that one. But like, do you have the same feeling about frames? It's sort of like
I do.
well, I may be a little more open-minded to it, but the point being that like the tactile, that's the word that comes to mind when I think about the Cloud wheels, is like there's a, like, it feels like a living part of you. If it's done right, it feels like you're barefoot almost, or there's like a really tactile feeling, and the skate is an extension of you. When it's
it is
hard
the
and
interface between
plasticky,
you and the ground. Yeah.
I mean, like, we're soft and fleshy. We're not plasticky, like our feet, our hands, like, so when you're on that hard plasticky thing, it's just not the same. So yeah, it's probably a part of a lot of why the same thing has happened in the bike industry too, where things got softer, plusher, like more organic feeling. So anyway, I feel like we went all the way into the rabbit hole and we found our way back out.
We found our way back. Yeah, another great episode. So as a segue into next month's episode, Billy, I think you know what next month's topic is. Why don't you tell everybody what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, we won't show it, but it's the product I've been asking you for quite some time. Endless 100 UFS frame of the future.
Yeah, it's happening. Billy and a couple other guys have it right now for testing. I have my setup that's just sitting there looking pretty. I fell down the stairs and broke my toe, maybe toes, so I can't put a foot into a skate right now. But I'm very excited based on everything these guys are sharing, and we are going to have an episode and let you into the process and share some of our what would you call it, in development insights and experiences as we're kind of in the middle of our testing. So
yeah, I'm gonna put it through the ringer, and I posted one video already on it, and you could kind of see it in the skating. You can't really, you can see the impact of it, of the frame in the skating. Can't really see the frame very well, just by design at this point. But but yeah, it's for those folks who have a supportive, Seba or Wizard style boot and want something endless, basically, right? That hits that mark of like the most multi-purpose wheel size that I think a lot of people know and love. So yeah.
Yep. So on that note,
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, on that note, thank you everybody for joining. I know it was kind of a marathon session here. Hopefully you got something useful out of this. If you did, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune in next month and join us to hear more about our Endless 100 UFS exploits. And I want to thank you, Billy, for hanging out this time. It was fun as always. So
Thanks for having me. Yeah, hope it was fun for everyone hanging out too.
yeah,
Talk to
see
you
you,
soon.
everybody.